What if Bella loved the dragon's mate? Let's get started. Rosalie, Irina is in need help. You have to summon her. Tanya hissed in Rosalie's ear as the pair along with a group of vampires were training. In a clearing next to the Cullens had been a week since Edward and his mate traveled to Denali to explain that Irina had seen their half-breed child and ran to the Volturi claiming the creation of an immortal. The coven got over their shock of the child's lineage and Irina's impulsiveness. They had traveled to Forks to take a stand as witnesses when the Volturi came to confront the that time other covens of vampires and nomads had shown up as well, but Tanya knew they had little hope of saving not only themselves but Irina as why they needed Rosalie to ask for help. She will be pissed if I wake her up, Rosalie said as she stroked the tattoo depicting a red and orange dragon curled up sleeping on her forearm. Bella will be more pissed if you don't wake her up and you die, Tanya argued. You're being dramatic. Rosalie didn't want to bother Bella if they didn't have to. I'm being dramatic. Tanya tempered the volume of her voice when she noticed the others looking at her. Irina is going to die and there is nothing we can do about if the Volturi listen to us and we are pardoned. Irina still made a false the vampire world that equals death. How is Bella going to save Irina from a death sentence? Rosalie asked. Tanya threw her hands up in frustration. Are you being serious right now? Yes, I'm being serious. I don't want Bella to think that I'm constantly in danger and can't take of will cause her to worry, and I don't want to be the cause of her already had to take care of the Victoria newborn army problem. Not that the Cullens knew that Rosalie had contacted Bella and her mate had taken care of the problem for them. Do you want me to beg? Is that what this is about? Tanya didn't want to have to, but Bella was the only chance she had to save her sister. Rosalie shook her head. No, I don't want you to beg. I just don't see what the point of waking her up is. With her connection to the Volturi, she can sway them to let Irina know the queens would do anything for her. Tanya really needed Rosalie's help because she was the only one able to get in touch with Bella. She wouldn't want to be forced to be around this many. Know how antisocial she is. Rosalie knew that Bella wouldn't be pleased if she was woken up because Rosalie was in danger and then had to be around a group of strangers. Can't you just ask her to go to the castle and meet with the queens to stop this from happening? Tanya asked. I don't think it will. Volturi have made their intentions. They changed their minds. It would make them look bad. Rosalie knew that the Volturi would come. It didn't matter who pleaded with them not to. Which proves my point that we need Bella, Tanya said. I have kept her away from my family for a reason, Rosalie told her. I know and I respect that. I also respect is why I have never spoken about her to anyone else, not even my sisters. Tanya would also never say anything because Bella caused her uncontrollable fear anytime she was around. That was only because of Rosalie that Bella was nice enough to shield her mind from influence, making it so Edward could not hear her, that she took great pleasure lording over the boy. If I summon her you will have to help me run interference because you know how people react to her. In Bella's presence it wasn't unheard of for someone to challenge her to a fight because of the powerful and extremely dangerous aura that wrapped itself around her. That includes our easily excitable family members. I promise I will keep Kate and Eleazar away from her and run interference if anyone tries to approach her. Tanya would be a hard thing to do because Tanya knew without a doubt that most if not all of the vampires and shifters involved would want to at least talk to Eleazar. From wanting to study her and Kate from wanting fight her was going to be a chore, but if she could save Irina, Tanya would do it. Fine, I will summon cover for me while I go meet her. I don't want anyone following me. The last thing Rosalie needed was for Bella to be ambushed by someone being nosy. Thank you, Rosalie. I will find a way to repay you for this. Tanya was feeling a lot better now that Rosalie was reaching out to. They had a much better chance of making it out of this alive. Don't thank me. Don't know how she will react to being asked for help, Rosalie warned as she walked away from the was excited for a chance to see her mate again but wasn't excited for the new Bella would help, but Rosalie hated that she had to rely on Bella to save her all the clear of everyone else. Rosalie took off in a run towards the was an isolated enough spot that her love could meet her without be seen. Here goes nothing, Rosalie mumbled to herself as she stood on the top of a high, lifted the arm with the tattoo on it to her lips and kissed it, feeling a tingling sensation flow through her at the tattoo. She watched as the form of the sleeping dragon changed to one that was now standing with its wings spread out as it was about to take the skies. Rosalie was unsurprised at the sight of the large red, orange-scaled dragon, with two long curled black horns and spikes along its spine flying towards the stood back to give it room to land, and when it did it was engulfed in a bright white. The light faded. In the dragon's place stood a 6 feet tall woman with long chestnut-colored hair down to her waist. Lean muscled body and red eyes that danced with orange, was dressed in white robes adorned with gold accents that flowed to the ground, with golden bangles and various rings covering each finger that were made of gold and silver and different types of precious silver. Circlet on her head was covered in diamonds, and at the center was a large ruby the size of an egg. "My love, it is still early. Why is it you have called for me?" Bella asked, holding her arms open for Rosalie. Rosalie happily let herself be pulled into the embrace. "I want to say that I missed you, and although that is true, I'm afraid we are in trouble." "What kind of trouble?" Bella was now on high alert. "It's Edward and his human mate." Rosalie began, only to be interrupted by Bella. "I should have killed that boy a long time ago," Bella growled. "I wish you had, but since you didn't, he had gotten the human pregnant and she gave birth to a hybrid," Rosalie told her. "How does this get you in trouble?" Bella asked. Irina showed up wanting to make peace after the whole Laurent incident with the "she got here." She saw the child in the woods with her mother, and one of the of talking about what she saw, she rushed off to Italy and claimed that we have created an immortal child, Rosalie explained. Bella sighed. "Let me guess, the queens believed her, and now they are gathering together most of the guard and are planning on personally attacking you guys for breaking the law." "Exactly," Rosalie confirmed. "There is so many things that your coven has done wrong that I'm not surprised that the queens are deciding to come. Is it you need me to do?" Bella wasn't keen on getting involved but would always protect her mate regardless of who was at fault. "I didn't want to bother you with this, but Tanya begged me, believes, and I agree that even if you contacted the queens and explained the situation, they would come. She hopes as when they come you could find a way to have." Irina was after all the one who made the false claim, Rosalie told her. "How long until they come?" Bella asked. Rosalie smiled sheepishly. 3 weeks. "And what do you expect me to do for those 3 weeks?" Bella was sure she wasn't going to like the answer. "Although I am loath to ask, would you please come to my home where we have gathered allies to help weeks as a guest, and as you know the future isn't set." Rosalie wasn't surprised by the deep frown Bella was now sporting. "What has Alice seen?" Bella knew the seer would have better information than that. Rosalie rubbed the back of her neck. "That's another, and Jasper took off and nobody knows where they went nor have had any contact with them." "My beautiful Rose," Bella sighed in frustration and then took Rosalie's face in her hands and kissed her passionately. Rosalie immediately responded to the kiss and didn't even put up any resistance when Bella's tongue pushed past her. Had missed Bella as she always did when they were separated, but understood her love was not meant for the human. Was an ancient who liked her solitude and only usually left her keep to spend time with. Was humbling to the vampire to know that after being alive so long Bella had only truly enjoyed her. Had told Rosalie on many occasions that if she had it her way Bella would just kill off every human and supernatural and live by herself until the world again. Her love was dramatic and a bit grouchy. Bella sighed as she pulled away from Rosalie. "I suppose this means that I have to meet your family. At least you know Tanya." Rosalie was trying to find a positive in this situation, but there really wasn't any. "Ah yes, woman still owes me a life debt," Bella said. Rosalie flinched, remembering the events that led to that debt. In her defense, how was she to know that climbing that mountain would lead her to your keep? "It wasn't the fact that she found my keep that was the problem, it was her thinking it all right to steal from me that was the problem. I should have strung her up and stripped her flesh from her bones as punishment." Bella would have if it hadn't been for Rosalie was lucking her love had been the one at her keep that confronted Tanya, because Bella wouldn't have been nice enough to speak first. "Yes, well, you made the deal so you can't go back on it now." Rosalie had been surprised when Tanya had shown up in Bella's home. Apparently Tanya had heard a rumor of pirate treasure hidden in the mountains and had been bored enough to try and find. She found Rosalie holding back a giant dragon that wanted to kill her. Rosalie didn't even want to imagine what would happen if she wasn't there, as she had no problem believing Bella would have killed the coven leader. "Well, now it seems I will be earning a new life debt by helping this Irina woman," Bella mused. "I suppose you will." Rosalie didn't want to think about anyone owing anything for saving them, but knew that dragons didn't help unless there was a dragon as old as Bella. "I guess we should get going." Bella was hungry now that she was awake. "Will there be food there, or should I transform and hunt before we leave?" "There will be food there, so you won't have to reveal yourself." Rosalie would have to go shopping to buy more, had stocked up for the shifters, but Bella's appetite far surpassed the mutts, so they would need to have a lot food for her. "Good." Bella held out her hand for Rosalie. "Lead the way, beloved." "Of course." Rosalie took Bella's hand in her own and led her down the new. She was inconveniencing her mate but was selfishly happy that she would get some time with was not looking forward to all the questions that were to come when she introduced Bella to her. Had kept Bella a secret after meeting her a year after she became a wasn't that she was ashamed of Bella, it's just that Rosalie didn't want to have to explain their relationship nor the fact that Bella wasn't well known that dragons even existed, and Rosalie didn't think it was safe for others to know what her mate. Her family would be a huge mistake because none of them knew how to keep a secret. Thank God, Rosalie, you got her, Tanya mumbled when she noticed Rosalie leading Bella out of the forest to the Cullen Coven. Leader wasn't completely convinced that Bella would help them at all and knew she would have to thank Rosalie later for persuading. Walked slowly towards the couple, stopping a few feet in front of the pair and bowing. Your Majesty, it is an honor to see you again. Bella looked over the blonde vampire, noticing not much had changed since she last saw her. Be good. Rosalie knew that Bella would be unhappy being around people but had hoped that she would at least be polite. To seem that hope was for naught, and when she noticed Edward rushing towards them and various guests that were at the house staring at them, Rosalie prayed that no one would say anything stupid. Who are you and why can't I read you mind? Edward demanded as he got in Bella's face. How dare you speak to me like that? Bella growled as she lunged at Edward and grabbed him by the throat. Bella. Rosalie quickly ran to Bella, trying to stop her from killing Edward. Bella, don't kill an idiot, but I'm sure that it is just because his family is in danger that has him acting so rudely. You better think before you speak again, boy, because family or not I will end you. Bella squeezed Edward's throat once more, then threw him to ground. Edward. Jessica, Edward's mate, ran to Edward, checking him over frantically. Are you all right? I'm fine, she didn't hurt me. Edward glared at Bella, flinching when Bella took a step towards him. Rosalie grabbed Bella's arm to stop her from going after Edward again. Edward, apologized to you did was uncalled for. Me? I should apologize. That woman attacked me. Edward wasn't going to apologize to some stranger with an anger problem. Edward, if you don't apologize to Bella, then I will take the entire Denali Coven and go back to Alaska and wash my hands of you and your family. Tanya wasn't going to deal with people being rude to Dragon. Was their only hope to save Irina, and if someone pissed her off enough, then Tanya had no problem believing Bella would leave them all to their death and go back to her keep. You wouldn't. Edward was aghast that Tanya would even threaten to leave. Oh, I would. Tanya promised. Son, apologize. Carlisle wasn't sure exactly who this newcomer was, but as he moved to stand next to Edward he realized that she was very red. Eyes with the dancing orange flames was enough warning. They didn't want the woman Bella as an enemy. But Carlisle, she was the one. Edward began, only to be cut off by Carlisle. I don't. Carlisle wasn't going to let Edward leave until he did. I am sorry for the way I acted. Edward said through gritted teeth. Noticing that Bella wasn't going to say anything, Carlisle held out his hand, hoping to defuse. The Bella made no move to shake it. He dropped it and smiled awkwardly. Welcome, name is Carlisle. This is my son Edward and his mate Jessica. This is my mate Bella. Rosalie told them, and just like she predicted, she was suddenly surrounded by people all asking questions. Everyone calm down. Tanya yelled to get control of the crowd. What do you mean calm down? Rosalie has a mate, someone you obviously know, and no one told us about this. Kate was surprised that Tanya kept this from them. How wonderful, Rosalie, we are so happy for you. Esme made a move to hug both Rosalie and Bella together, but quickly stepped back when Bella growled at her. How long have you had a mate? Emmett was his best friend. He thought if Rosalie was mated she would have told him. I met Bella a year after I was turned. Rosalie told them. Why didn't you introduce us? Carlisle was hurt that Rosalie didn't feel comfortable telling them about her mate. Bella doesn't particularly like being around others. Rosalie decided that would be her go-to answer to any of the "where has Bella been" questions. Tanya laughed, earning confused looks from her throat. She spoke. Sorry, inside joke. My love, you promised me food. Bella reminded was over spending time with these people and was hungry. Of course, I'll make you something. Rosalie was happy to have an excuse to leave the group, although she knew that they wouldn't be leaving her and Bella alone for long. You know how to cook? Rachel, Emmett's maid, asked in surprise. Rosalie rolled her eyes at the wide-eye looks of surprise she was getting. Of course I know how to, else would I feed my mate? It's just you have never shown an interest in it, Esme said, coming to Rachel's defense. No, I've never had a reason to cook for anyone other than Bella, that's all. Rosalie corrected. Also, you will need to send someone to the store for more groceries. We have plenty of food here, I promise, Esme said. After Bella is done eating you won't have enough food to make a snack, let alone another meal. Rosalie told her as she led Bella into the ignored all the occupants and made her way into the kitchen. What are you in mood for? Surprise me. Bella liked when Rosalie made her human was a rare treat, as usually Bella just hunted in her dragon form and didn't take the time to cook. Rosalie looked through the refrigerator and freezer. It looks like we have a lot of beef and is also some fish if you are feeling adventurous. I would enjoy whatever you cook for me, Bella told her. I'll get some steaks going so you have something to hold you over while I make you a proper meal. Rosalie enjoyed cooking for her mate and was happy she had a chance to use an actual kitchen, because usually she cooked over an open fire in Bella's keep or got takeout food for the dragon if they were amongst civilization. Do you want me to grill the steaks? Tanya asked as she entered. The group had already started off on the wrong foot with Bella, and the coven leader wanted to fix things before Bella decided to leave. That would be nice, thank you, Rosalie said. I'll be back, Tanya told them. So Bella, where is it you are from? Carlisle asked as he along with Esme made their way into the was decided that Edward stay away from the woman until a better relationship was formed. She is a nomad. Rosalie wasn't going to tell them anything about where Bella actually wouldn't be safe for others to know. I have never seen anyone with eyes like yours. You mind me asking what type of species you are? Carlisle asked. It's none of your business what Bella is. Rosalie shut that down. Right one was going to find out Bella was a dragon. I see. Carlisle didn't understand why Rosalie was answering for Bella, as the woman seemed more than capable of. Had a feeling that finding out information on Rosalie's mate was going to be didn't dissuade him, however, because he felt that it was important to know if Bella was a threat to everyone. Are you here to help with the Volturi? Yes, she was nice enough to come when I asked, Rosalie told them. Does that mean you are going to train with us? Carlisle asked. No, she will not be training with us. Rosalie was going to keep Bella far away from any love, would not hold back from killing anyone who challenged her. So you are here as a witness. Carlisle could accept Bella not wanting to himself, hoped that this whole situation would be resolved without any violence. She is here as a favor to me. Rosalie wasn't going to explain that Bella was probably going to be the one that saved all of them, because it wasn't anyone's business what Bella's relationship with the queens was. Well, we are thankful for any help we can get, Esme said, stopping Carlisle from asking any more. It was obvious that Rosalie wasn't going to tell them anything about her mate, and Bella didn't look like she would even speak to them, let alone answer any of their questions. Rosalie, would you like some help making Bella's food? No, I'm fine. Rosalie enjoyed providing for her mate, and making Bella food was a way that she was able to do that. Are you sure? Esme wasn't sure how great Rosalie's cooking was and wanted to make sure that Bella was given something edible. This isn't the first time I've cooked for my matter of fact, I cook all her meals when we are together. Rosalie understood Esme's concern, but it was somewhat insulting that people doubted her skills. Sorry, it's just a new experience seeing you in the kitchen. Esme was expecting that they were going to have to get used to many new things with having a maid and being a chef, just two of them. Cooking is something I enjoy doing for Bella. I am not inclined to waste the energy doing it for anybody else. Rosalie told the ingredients ready for the chicken curry she was making. Rosalie turned her attention to Bella. Bella, do you want to try some chips? What are chips? Bella asked. You don't know what chips are. Carlisle wasn't sure what to make of Rosalie's woman was a complete unknown, but not knowing what chips were when she obviously ate food made him even more suspicious of what kind of supernatural she was. Rosalie ignored Carlisle's question as she opened a bag of chips and handed them to Bella. They are potatoes that are cut thinly and fried in oil. Thank you, my love. Bella tried one of the chips, pleased with the way they tasted. These are very good. They come in different flavors, so the next time we go shopping I will get some different kinds for you to try. Rosalie would have to somehow convince Bella to go grocery shopping with. Originally wanted to send someone else, but didn't think they would actually get enough food to cover Bella's meals. Here are your steaks, Bella, Tanya said as she entered the kitchen with a platter piled high with 10 large steaks, setting them in front of Bella. You are going to eat all of those? Carlisle asked in surprise. How about we leave Rosalie and Bella alone while Bella eats? Tanya grabbed Carlisle and Esme's arms and led them out of the kitchen, not even waiting for them to. She was walking out. She looked over her shoulder and gave a small smile to Rosalie as she mouthed the words, "Thank you. I think we have some steak sauce you can put on those," Rosalie offered. They are fine like this. Bella told her as she lifted the steak with her hands, ignoring any utensils, and ate large bites, barely chewing before swallowing. Rosalie smiled lovingly at her mate as she grabbed a napkin and wiped some steak juice off of Bella's chin. "You are so messy. It's lucky I have you to help keep me clean," Bella quipped. "I'm the lucky one in this relationship," Rosalie told, simply hummed in reply and went back to eating. Her wasn't kidding when she said she was the lucky, was an extraordinary being, and Rosalie was humbled that fate had chose her to be the dragon's. Fact that Bella, being as isolated as she was, even took the time to spend with Rosalie was amazing, but the way Bella treated her like she was the most precious treasure she owned made Rosalie feel loved and cared. Back to work on her chicken dish, Bella would get through this situation without losing her patience with the whole group of already had the Volturi to worry about. They didn't need a pissed off dragon as well. "How do you know Rosalie's mate?" Kate asked Tanya as the pair were hunting in the forest outside of the Cullens. Kate hadn't actually needed to hunt but wanted a chance to speak to her coven leader ever since Rosalie introduced her mate to them. It seemed to Kate that Tanya was trying to avoid talking to her, and it made Kate even more suspicious of this whole situation. "While I was traveling I ran into Rosalie, who introduced us," Tanya told her. "When was this?" Kate asked. "It was 1943. Tanya said. 1943. Kate wondered why that year stuck in her memory. "That's the same year you became immune to Edward, Alice and Jasper's gifts." "Yes, it was." Tanya really didn't want to have this conversation because she knew if she said the wrong thing about Bella, the dragon would kill her slowly and very painfully. Kate suddenly put all the pieces together. "Wait, was it Bella who made you immune?" "Yes, she did, as a favor to Rosalie so that nobody would know about her," Tanya admitted. Holy shit, Kate couldn't believe it. They had always wondered what happened to Tanya that made it so she could block the Cullen children's gifts, but her sister remained steadfast that she didn't know. "Do you think she would shield me as well?" Tanya flinched, thinking about how Bella would react to being asked for anything. "I don't think it's a good idea to ask her." "Why not? I mean, she did it for you and I'm sure Rosalie as well." "What's the big deal?" Kate didn't see a problem with asking. "The big deal is if you ask her it will piss her off, and let me tell you, you do not want to be the focus of her anger. Tanya knew firsthand what happened when you pissed off the dragon, and nothing would be able to save Kate if Bella went after her." Kate looked at Tanya in surprise. "You act like you are scared of her." "Oh, I'm scared of her all right," Tanya admitted. "We all should be scared of her. I mean, I know she is some kind of supernatural because of her eyes, but she doesn't seem that much of a threat. Even when she went after Edward, it didn't look like she hurt him that much." Kate didn't think that Bella was that tough. She seemed about as strong as a human, and Kate didn't see the problem with winning a fight against her. "Kate, I want you to promise me that you will not approach her. No matter how much you want to stay away from her. She is not someone who will put up with you even if you are friendly," Tanya warned. "Jesus, what did that woman do to you?" Kate could actually feel the terror coming off of Tanya in waves. "It's not what she did to me, it's what Rosalie stopped her from doing to me that has me so afraid," Tanya said. "What did Rosalie stop her from doing?" Kate asked. "I have no doubt if Rosalie wasn't there to interfere, then Bella would have killed me. She would have made it slow and painful. As it is, because I was spared, I now owe her a life debt." Tanya wasn't happy owing the debt, but it was a better alternative to what Bella could have done. "Tanya, what the hell have you gotten yourself into?" Owing a life debt was very serious. So serious that Kate knew Tanya had to have done something horrible to trade for it. "I stole from her." Tanya figured giving Kate the basics would make her understand the situation better. "You stole from Bella and now you owe her a life debt?" That didn't make sense to Kate. Stealing wouldn't have resulted in that type of punishment. "I'm not going to tell you exactly what Bella is, but I will tell you that stealing from one her kind is the worst transgression against them. I would have been safer challenging her to a fight to the death than taking her things." Tanya hadn't even known dragons existed, so when she had been searching the mountains for the pirate treasure and came upon Bella's keep, Tanya had thought it was the pirate's loot. She had been terribly wrong and had thanked Rosalie many times over the years for saving her. "If she is so dangerous, is she going to be able to help us win against the Volturi?" Kate asked. "I don't know if Bella will actually stand with us against the Volturi," Tanya told her. "Then why is she here if not to help with the royals?" Kate would figure being Rosalie's mate, Bella would want to save at least the Cullens. "She's here to save Irina," Tanya said. "What do you mean, save Irina?" Kate didn't know how anyone, even Bella, could save their sister from punishment. We both know that even if the Volturi leave peacefully, that Irina's life is forfeit. She made a false claim. Tanya just hoped the Volturi waited until they got there to actually kill Irina. True, but how does Bella fit in? Kate didn't actually have much hope of her sister coming out of this alive. I can't tell you everything as it's not my secret, but I have no doubt that Bella will not only be able to save Irina but will make it so the Volturi will spare her from any punishment that would usually happen for what she did. Tanya knew that if Bella vouched for Irina, then the Volturi would leave her alone for the rest of her life. Bella has that much pull with the royals? Kate asked. Tanya nodded. My fear of the woman is a drop in the bucket to the fear the queens have of her. Shit. Kate mumbled. Yeah, that's why I begged Rosalie to get in touch with her. The only problem is that I'm not sure what Bella is going to demand as payment for her help. That was one of Tanya's biggest concerns. Dragons didn't do things for free. That meant that there would be a debt that needed to be paid. She expects to be paid for her help. Kate couldn't believe Bella expected to be paid for saving someone's life. Wouldn't she just do it to make Rosalie happy? No. The only way Bella would do something for free was if it directly impacted Rosalie. Even if it was for one of her coven mates, Bella would expect to be paid. The only reason she would even put in the effort was because Rosalie asked you to. If you or I asked her, she most likely would tell us no matter what we offered her in return. Tanya knew that Bella wouldn't care if the world burned as long Rosalie was safe. She would let it happen. So if it wasn't Rosalie asking, Bella would just leave us all to die. Kate asked. She might even come just to watch the massacre. Tanya thought seeing a bunch of them die would most likely be the only thing that would make Bella even consider leaving her keep. What the fuck? Kate didn't know what to think about everything Tanya had just told her. That's why you have to be very careful around her. Rosalie may have asked her to come here, but I have no doubt that if Bella was pissed off enough, she would just take Rosalie away and leave the rest of us to our doom. Tanya could almost guarantee it. You called her Your Majesty. Does that mean she is royal as well? Kate wanted to know how to address Bella properly. Amongst her people she is, and if you called her that as well, then it would enter you to not only Bella but Rosalie too. Actually, it would be good to call Rosalie the same as Bella considers her queen, Tanya told her. You expect me to defer to Rosalie? Kate wasn't sure she would able to do that. Being respectful of Rosalie is even more important than being respectful to Bella. She could be reasoned with if she was insulted, but if Rosalie was insulted or treated poorly, nothing would stop Bella from killing whoever did it. Bella's kind take the mate bond much more serious than vampires do, whereas a vampire would be able to control their anger. Bella's kind wouldn't rest until the offender was dead. It's ingrained in them. Tanya explained. I'm really started to get mad at Irina right now for putting us in a situation with this woman. Kate wasn't pleased that they had to rely on the dangerous woman, but if it was a way to save Irina, she would behave. The best thing you could do is stay away from her and don't ask her for anything. If it's absolutely necessary to talk to her, talk to Rosalie first. Don't approach her because depending on her mood it could end very poorly for you, Tanya warned. Let's finish hunting. Kate needed to think about everything Tanya had just told her, and she needed to do it without Edward around. It would do no one any good for the mind reader to know anything about Rosalie's mate. It would just make him confront her, and that was the last thing they needed to happen. As it was, if it wasn't for Irina, Kate would have insisted that they leave them all to their fate and go back to Alaska to get away from not only the Volturi but Bella as well. So what do we think of Rosalie's mate? Emmett asked the group standing with him in front of the house that consisted of himself, his mate Rachel, Edward, Jessica who was holding their baby, Carlisle, Esme, Carmen and Eleazar. He had wanted a chance to talk to Bella, but as soon as she was done eating she retreated to the roof of the house where she was joined by Rosalie. The pair weren't paying attention to anything around them as they were talking quietly to themselves while Bella sat with Rosalie's head in her lap stroking her hair. She's dangerous and I don't want her here, Edward sighed. Edward, we aren't going to ask Rosalie's mate to leave. Esme would never force any of her children or their mates to leave. I can't read her mind. Add to the fact that I can't read Rosalie's as well makes the pair of them extremely dangerous. Edward hadn't been happy when Rosalie had come home from a trip and randomly had been able to block his gift. It made him not trust the blonde, and he always thought she should be kicked out of their coven. Do you think Bella is the reason that not only Rosalie can block your gift but Tanya as well? I mean, it's obvious Tanya knows Bella, so it would make sense that Bella was able to help them somehow, Eliezer mused. That's just more proof we should force her to leave. Edward wasn't going to let someone who could give others the ability to be around his family. Either that or we eliminate the threat she poses to our coven. Are you seriously saying we should kill Rosalie's mate? Rachel asked. Edward nodded. She is able to make people immune to all our gifts. If she helped others, then it would make us vulnerable to threats. We wouldn't be able to properly defend ourselves. We are not killing Bella. Carlyle held up a hand to stop Edward's reply. I don't care if she can help others, we will not be killing Rosalie's mate. How would you feel if Jessica was killed? I honestly don't think she would be easy to eliminate anyway, Eliezer said. What do you mean? She is obviously a supernatural, but she doesn't seem that strong. Emmett thought that he could easily take her if came to a fight. I think the fact that Tanya is obviously afraid of her should be some kind of proof that Bella is very dangerous. Eliezer had seen the way Tanya had acted around Bella. The obvious fear in her eyes and the way she had flinched whenever Bella even looked her way. What do you think she is? Carmen asked. I don't know, and I don't think we are going to be getting the answer anytime soon. Carlyle didn't even know if they would get the chance to have a conversation with Bella. True, Rosalie refused to answer when asked, and Bella didn't even speak to us. Rosalie answered all Carlyle's questions for her. Esme thought that was rather odd, as Bella was obviously not mute. I want to know why Rosalie didn't tell any of us about her. She said she met her a year after she was turned. How was she able to keep her a secret that long? Emmett had been hurt knowing that Rosalie didn't trust him enough to tell him about her mate. At least we know why she likes to travel so much. Rosalie was well known for taking long trips that sometimes lasted years at a time. Rachel had always thought she was traveling the world trying to find a mate, but now it was obvious she was actually spending time with her mate. I wonder why they spend so much time apart. Carmen didn't know of any mates that could be apart for long periods of time. The fact that Rosalie and Bella didn't stay together wasn't normal for vampires. It might have something to do with her species, Carlyle suggested. That brings us back to the original question of what kind of supernatural Bella is. Eliezer would love the chance to speak to Bella and ask her some questions, but it seemed that the woman wasn't keen on talking to anyone other than Rosalie. Maybe we can get a chance to talk to Rosalie about it. I don't know about that. I doubt she will be leaving Bella alone for us to talk to her, Rachel said. This just proves my point. Not only do we not know what Bella is, but we all agree she is dangerous. How do we know that she isn't actually working for the Volturi and will side with them when they come? Edward wouldn't put it past Rosalie to sell out their family to save herself. She doesn't work for the Volturi. If she did, there was no way that Tanya would be so polite to her. Emmett didn't believe for a second that Rosalie would be aligned with the Volturi. Or Tanya is polite to her because she knows that insulting her would guarantee a death sentence from the royals, Edward countered. Have you always been this paranoid? Rachel asked. It's not paranoia. I'm the only one who is seeing what is really going on. Rosalie's mate is here to kill all of us, and I don't understand why you are stopping me from killing her. Edward couldn't believe that his family wasn't understanding the seriousness of the situation they found themselves in. If she was here to kill us, why hasn't she done it yet? Emmett knew Edward was stupid, but at least thought he would back up his argument better than he had. She is waiting to get more proof of us planning to overthrow the Volturi. Edward saw it like it was obvious. Well, she won't find any because we aren't trying to overthrow the Volturi. Carmen didn't like Edward's line of thinking. We all know when they come the only way to be safe will be to overthrow them. Why do you think we have been training? Edward thought that was the plan the whole time. We are training in case it comes to a fight. We are not planning to overthrow the queens. I don't want to hear you mention that again. Carlyle knew if Edward saw that to the wrong person in the gathered group that came to help them, it could cause them to go straight to the queens to report them. Then they would have no chance of making it out of this alive. You are stupid if you think the royals will let us go without punishment even if we were to prove our case, Edward told him. No, it would be stupid to even think you could overthrow the queens. No matter how confident you are in your gift, the chances of you being able to overthrow the Volturi are none. To try would just get the whole group of us killed, and I'm not willing to get killed over your false belief that you have any chance at beating the guard, and if you don't get out of this mindset you will lose not only myself and my mate but most likely Tanya and Kate also, Eliezer warned. It was your coven that got us into this situation in the first place. Are you willing to leave not only us to die but Irina as well? Edward didn't put much thought into Eliezer's threat. The Denali wouldn't leave. They would want to try and save their traitor of a sister. Irina would be in even more danger if you tried to fight the Volturi, so it wouldn't matter if we stayed. Eliezer didn't want to lose a coven mate, but he had little faith that Irina was going to make it out of this alive. Son, I know you're stressed with everything going on and with the danger to your family, but you need to calm down. You also need to get out of the mindset that we are killing Bella and overthrowing the queens. Neither of those things are going to happen, Carlyle told him. You are all going to get us all killed. Let's go, Jessica. Edward grabbed his mate's arm and guided her towards their home. I worry about him, Esme said. I worry about all of us if he decides to challenge the queens instead of trying to talk it out. Carlyle would have to speak to Edward again in private. Maybe then he could make Edward see the flaws in his plans. I think the best thing to do is keep him away from both Rosalie and Bella, Eliezer said, the others nodding in agreement. He didn't want any fights with Rosalie or her mate. Bella had already attacked Edward and they didn't need fights breaking out amongst allies. Add to the fact that Tanya was cautious of the woman made Eliezer think that there was more than met the eye when it came to Bella. He would have to find a time to speak to Tanya about it. She may have the answers to his many questions about Bella. If it comes to a fight they are all going to die. Bella couldn't help but agree with her mate as they watched the group of vampires that decided to fight training on the Cullen's lawn. The pair were still sitting on the roof where Rosalie was laying with her head in Bella's lap, enjoying the feeling of her mate's fingers running through her hair and Bella's nails lightly scratching her scalp. It had been over 2 years they had been apart before the Victoria incident, and when Bella dealt with that, Rosalie had only seen Bella for a day. Although they were in danger, it was nice to spend time with the dragon, and Rosalie hoped that Bella would spend some time with her before she went back to sleep. They are very unskilled, aren't they? Rosalie winced as she saw a nomad named Garrett fly into the trees after being backhanded by Liam of the Irish Coven. After a day of training with me you were better than everyone here, Bella told her. Well, you are an excellent teacher. Rosalie had been more than willing to learn to fight after Bella had shown her concern of Rosalie's lack of ability to defend herself. The family wasn't aware of her skills, but she had been right by Bella's side while the dragon fought the newborns and Victoria and walked away with a dozen kills to her name and no injuries to her body. Bella leaned down to kiss Rosalie softly. You, my love, are an excellent student. Rosalie hummed in agreement and turned her attention back to the fights. It seemed Edward was trying to show off his skills with Kate. Rosalie laughed out loud when Edward went to the ground, his body convulsing, only stopping when Kate stepped away from him. She ignored the surprised looks the others vampires gave her because of her laughter. I would say that would knock some sense into the boy, but I have no doubt he is already making up excuses for why he was bested, Bella said. True, I bet he has already started spouting off nonsense to anyone listening. Rosalie somewhat wished she could hear what he was saying but was happier not having to hear his voice. Do you think that he will mouth off to the queens? Bella asked. I want to say no because you would have to be stupid to do so, but as we have seen with Edward throughout the decades, he is probably the stupidest person either of us has ever come across. So to answer your question, yes, I fully believe that Edward will mouth off to the queens. Rosalie wouldn't be surprised if Edward became combative right away. I wonder how your coven leader will react to the boy's disrespect of the queens. It is well known of his love for the boy. Bella had been told of the many instances that Carlyle had gone along with Edward's wishes over those of the rest of the coven. If he was a good coven leader, then he would lead the meeting, but we all know that he is going to let Edward be in charge. Rosalie wasn't a big fan of either Carlyle or Edward, but stayed with the family because of her like of rest of them. That and Bella wasn't always available to stay with. It will be interesting to see how many of them the queens spare. I doubt many, as instead of going to Italy and informing the queens of the situation, they decided to gather and form an army to fight them. Bella knew the queens would be upset with the way the group acted and would not be merciful. Rosalie flinched thinking about how many were probably going to die. She would however not ask Bella to save them. It wasn't her mate's job to save her coven and friends from their own bad decisions. At least Irina had a reason to react the way she did. True, with her history it's completely reasonable for her to go straight to the Volturi and not confront your coven, Bella said. I'm just happy she will be protected. Out of all them, Rosalie felt Irina deserved mercy. The Cullens should have gone to the Queens as soon as they found out about Jessica's pregnancy. As will you and Tanya. Her life is owed to me, so the Queens have no right to claim it. Bella would protect Tanya for that reason only. I wonder if she knows that. Rosalie Tanya made the deal with Bella. Nothing was really explained except for the fact that a life debt was owed, but not what that meant. Tanya probably didn't understand that to owe a life debt to a dragon meant that dragon claimed you as property and would protect that property like everything else they owned. Mortals aren't the most intelligent and are often frivolous with the lives they have, so I doubt she understood the price she paid for her freedom, Bella said. Then I worry for her if you ever decide to collect. Rosalie knew that for Bella to actually call in the life debt, the dragon would have to be in extreme danger. She wouldn't waste it on something frivolous. Does she understand the price that will be paid for Irina's freedom? Bella asked. It wasn't discussed, but she knows that you aren't helping for free. Rosalie understood dragon culture and would never insult Bella by asking her to help someone for free. I want a life debt, but I am willing to hear other offers. It has been some time since I've added to my hoard. Now that Bella was awake, maybe she would take time to procure some new treasures. True, you haven't really been shopping for anything substantial since the 1980s, Rosalie said. When this is over we should travel. I heard rumors that the humans are messing with the pyramids again. I would like the chance to see what they are doing, Bella told her. Rosalie laughed. You just want a chance to terrorize them. I'm not going to terrorize them. I am simply going to warn them that they shouldn't be disturbing the resting places of their ancestors, Bella huffed when Rosalie kept laughing. No, you want to scare them shitless for stealing, Rosalie said. They are nothing but grave robbers, Bella exclaimed angrily. I know, my love, but that is the world we live in. Nothing is sacred anymore, Rosalie lamented. That's why it is important for me to remind them that it's a bad idea to try and steal another's hoard. Bella thought it was perfectly reasonable for her to take action against thieves. You need to be careful. With technology progressing as it has, it isn't safe for you to be showing yourself to others unless you are in your human disguise, Rosalie warned. I don't like my human disguise. It doesn't inflict enough fear into those I interact with. Bella's human disguise was when she transformed her body fully to include her eyes, which she turned a muted brown. It made her seem innocent and caused people to think it was all right to approach her. That's why it's my job to glare at anyone who even looks your way, Rosalie reminded her. You are rather intimidating when you want to be, Bella said. Rosalie reached up and pulled Bella down for a kiss. I learned from the best. I seem to remember teaching you some other things, Bella told her as she maneuvered Rosalie so that she was straddling her lap. What other things are you speaking about? Rosalie asked, smiling when instead of answering Bella kissed her. She happily let herself fall into the kiss, offering no resistance when Bella's tongue swiped her lips. If Rosalie had it her way, she would spend all her time kissing Bella. The dragon was very skilled with her lips and tongue, and thinking about what else they could be doing instead of sitting on the roof, Rosalie pulled away. Let me show you my room. Bella lifted Rosalie up bridal style and jumped from the roof, landing with ease. Lead the way. With pleasure. Rosalie grabbed Bella's hand once she was set on her feet. Ignoring the group gawking at her and Bella, she led the dragon into the house. Rosalie knew that they weren't used to her being mated, and her actions probably surprised them because she wasn't the most affectionate unless Bella was involved. Then she usually couldn't keep her hands to herself and had to always have some part of her body touching Bella. Thinking of touching Bella, Rosalie hurried her steps into and almost run up the stairs. It had been too long since she felt Bella's hands on her naked body, and she couldn't wait any longer. Hopefully nothing happened while they were busy, because if someone interrupted them, then an angry dragon would be the least of their worries. I don't know whether to congratulate you or to be angry for all the noise, Emmett told Rosalie as she walked out of the house. It had been 6 days since Rosalie and Bella had disappeared into Rosalie's bedroom, and in that time the pair had been having sex non-stop. Or at least it seemed non-stop, if by what everyone heard meant anything. In the first few minutes of solitude, the vampires at the Cullen home had learned that the soundproofing in Rosalie's room was non-existent, as the group had been forced to listen to not only screaming from Rosalie but moaning, growling, and even a few animalistic roars that none of them could assign to any specific species. The sounds weren't really the concerning part. It was when the smoke detectors in the house went off due to large amounts of smoke spilling out from Rosalie's room that everyone became concerned. Tanya was the one to prevent anyone from checking on the pair, saying it was perfectly normal. The fact that the volume became louder with the more smoke that filled the house reassured them. "Emmett, be polite," Esme scolded. "I am being polite. If I wasn't, then I would compliment Bella on her skills in the bedroom," Emmett said, waggling his eyebrows at Rosalie. Rosalie growled. "My mate's skills are none of your business, Emmett." "I think they are all of our business with how loud the pair of you were," Rachel mumbled. "We couldn't have been that loud, the rooms are soundproof," Rosalie said. Emmett snorted out a laugh. "Yours needs to be redone because we could hear everything and have been hearing it for the last 6 days. "Well, no one said you had to stick around to listen." Rosalie was somewhat embarrassed, as she hadn't realized that she and Bella got that loud while being intimate. Then again, they usually weren't around others when they were. "That's why Edward and Jessica aren't here," Rachel told her. "What do we have to do with Edward's absence?" Rosalie asked. Emmett rolled his eyes. "He was highly offended when he heard the two of you, and we had to stop him from banging on your door. I personally think the prude is jealous because there's no way his and Jessica's sex life is anything spectacular." "Emmett, we do not discuss what other people do in their bedroom. It's impolite," Esme scolded. "Okay, let's not discuss the fact that Rosalie has a very good sex life." Emmett held up his hands when Rosalie advanced on him. "Geez, sorry." "Yes, how about we talk about the fact that Rosalie's eyes are orange?" Rachel said, causing everyone to stare at Rosalie's eyes that perfectly matched the color fire in Bella's. "That is interesting. How did it occur?" Carlisle asked. "It's a reaction to drinking Bella's blood," Rosalie told them. Esme gasped. "Rosalie, how could you? Is Bella all right?" Carlisle looked to the roof where Bella was sitting and didn't notice anything wrong with the woman. Rosalie rolled her eyes. "Bella is perfectly fine. But still, how could you drink her blood? That's dangerous." Esme couldn't believe that Rosalie could be so reckless. "Bella isn't affected by my venom." Rosalie wasn't worried about it because as a dragon, Bella's natural fire burned the venom out of her bloodstream. How could that be? Carlisle had never heard of any species, not even shifters, that weren't affected by vampire venom. "She was born that way," Rosalie told him. "Are others of her kind the same?" Carlisle pushed, not satisfied with the answer. "I don't know." Rosalie did know, as Bella had told her, but it wasn't Carlisle's business. "Maybe I'll ask her," Carlisle mumbled. "You will not be talking to her at all," Rosalie said. "A simple conversation wouldn't hurt anyone." Carlisle was going to have a conversation with Rosalie's mate, even if he had to use his power as the coven leader to order Rosalie to have one. Rosalie growled and bared her teeth at the man. "She is to be left alone. If you don't, then I will not stop her from responding to you any way she sees fit." "Anyway, what are the pair of you planning for the day?" Rachel asked, trying to change the subject. "I need to hunt and Bella needs to eat." Rosalie was actually going to hunt for Bella. "I would be happy to make Bella something while you hunt," Esme offered. "That's all right, I'm planning to bring some meat back for her." Rosalie knew that with Bella's appetite that nothing short of at least 2 deers worth of meat would begin to fill the dragon's stomach. "You're going to bring meat back for her?" Carlisle didn't understand what Rosalie was saying. "Yes, while I'm hunting I'm going to bring back my kills so Bella can eat them." Rosalie didn't see what the big deal was, as Bella was her mate and she was providing for her. "Bella can't hunt on her own?" Rachel asked. "Animals flee when Bella is around them." Rosalie wasn't going to explain that when Bella was in the area, animals detected the dangerous creature and took off before they even got close to catch them. That was why Bella hunted when she was transformed. Why is that? Carlisle hoped this meant that Rosalie was going to give them insight on what Bella was. "None of you business." Rosalie quickly shut down Carlisle's questions. Of course, Carlisle would have to figure out a different way to get answers. "That being the case, I am leaving Bella here while I'm gone. She is to be left alone. No one is to approach her or ask her any questions." Rosalie made sure to make eye contact with Carlisle. "I mean it. Leave her alone. I will not disturb her." I promise. Carlisle wasn't going to heed that warning, as he figured if he got Bella alone maybe he could get answers out of the woman without Rosalie around to speak for her. Can I go hunting with you? Emmett would like a chance to talk to Rosalie without everyone around. That's fine. Rosalie didn't see a problem with Emmett coming with her. He was her best friend and she knew he would have questions that she would prefer to answer privately. Let's get going though, because Bella is hungry. Emmett gave Rachel a chaste kiss. I'll be back soon. Have fun. Rachel said as the remaining three in the group watched him and Rosalie take off into the woods. I think I'm going to speak to Bella, Carlisle said. Rosalie specifically asked you not to. Esme reminded him. Actually, she more demanded than asked. Rachel corrected. I'm the coven leader. Bella is a new member of this coven. It is my responsibility to welcome her, and we all need to know what kind of species she is. Edward may be hot-headed, but we don't know if Bella is safe to be around. Carlisle was also extremely curious. I don't think approaching her is a good idea. Maybe you could speak with Tanya. She seems to know about Bella. Esme didn't want to make Rosalie upset if they went against her wishes. She also didn't know how Bella would react to someone talking to her, as the woman had gone out of her way not to say a word to anyone but Rosalie. Tanya will just stonewall me. I need to go to the source. That means I need to talk to Bella. Carlisle knew if he spoke to Tanya she would tell him nothing. The other coven leader had never mentioned Bella, and it was obvious that Bella helped her shield her mind. Carlisle was going to have Bella shield his own as well. Maybe even some of the vampires who gathered at their home. It would be good to be immune to most of the Volturi Guard members. I still think you should respect Rosalie. Rachel began, only to be cut off by Carlisle. Rosalie isn't the coven leader. I am. She. That means I tell her what to do, not the other way around. Carlisle dismissed the pair as he made his way towards the roof. He was going to talk to Bella and no one was going to stop him. He didn't care if Rosalie objected, because as he told the other two, he was in charge, not Rosalie. He was going to remind the blonde vampire would when she and Emmett came back. Now he was going to get some answers. Why didn't you tell me you had a mate? Emmett asked Rosalie. The pair were in the forest hunting for Bella. Emmett had waited until they were far enough away that no one would overhear them to speak. He knew that Rosalie wouldn't want to talk about anything personal if she had a large audience, so with it being just the two of them, Emmett hoped that he would get some answers. I couldn't risk Edward finding out and telling everyone, Rosalie said. I understand you don't want people knowing what she is, but you could have at least told me. I wouldn't have said anything. Emmett would have kept the secret for Rosalie. Rosalie, hearing the hurt in her brother's voice, sighed. It's not that I don't trust you, it's if I had told you and anyone else found out, then they would want to meet Bella, and that wasn't going to happen. Why not? What about Bella is so dangerous for us to know? Emmett asked. Bella's not dangerous. Rosalie quickly corrected herself. Well, Bella is dangerous, very dangerous, but knowing about her would force her to be around you and interacting with the family as my mate isn't something she is interested in. Does she hate vampires? Emmett couldn't think of a reason for Bella to not want to meet Rosalie's family. Bella hates everyone. Seeing Emmett's confused expression, Rosalie explained. Bella has been alive for longer than any of us can imagine, and in that time she has become rather disillusioned with the world. If she had it her way, she would kill everyone and everything, and the pair of us would live until the world ended by ourselves. Animals would only be allowed because she needs to eat, as I could easily live off of her blood. How did you two meet? Emmett asked. It was just after I passed my test to be sure I could be amongst humans without losing control. I decided I wanted to travel, so I went to South Dakota to check out the work they were doing on Mt. Rushmore. I had heard the stories of them making the giant sculpture and wanted to see how they were creating it. I went into the surrounding wilderness to hunt, where I came across Bella. She had been hunting at the time and caught my scent and searched me out. After that we have been together ever since. Rosalie often thought back to that first interaction Bella fondly. When Bella had approached her, Rosalie had been so tongue-tied it took her over 5 minutes to get out a full sentence. Bella had just smiled at her the whole time. If Bella can hunt for herself, why are we hunting for her now? Emmett was sure that Rosalie said that animals were afraid of Bella, that's why Rosalie needed to hunt for her. Because for Bella to hunt, she would have to reveal exactly what her species is. The only way for Bella to hunt for herself was to transform into her dragon form, and Rosalie didn't want people to know. Also by hunting for Bella it gave Rosalie a chance to prove her worth by providing for her mate. You aren't going to tell anyone what she is, are you? Emmett asked. Rosalie shook her head. It wouldn't be a good idea. Is it because of what she is you don't live together? Emmett knew of the long periods of time Rosalie stayed with Cullens that meant Rosalie wasn't with Bella. Yes, one of the characteristics of her species is they sleep for years at a time. Bella's age makes it so she sleeps less than the younger of her kind, but she still needs to sleep. Rosalie was extremely happy she met Bella when the dragon was so old. Bella had explained that younger dragons slept up to centuries at time when healing, but as they got older they needed less time to sleep. The thing I don't understand is how she met Tanya. If you went to so much effort to keep her away from everyone, how did she meet Bella? Tanya was the last person Emmett would expect for Rosalie to tell a secret to. They met due to a horrible misunderstanding that resulted in me pleading on Tanya's behalf to be spared from death, Rosalie told him. What the hell? Bella wanted to kill Tanya? Emmett asked. It was actually a really close call. Rosalie held back a flinch remembering the incident. Tanya had gotten some bad information and after a series of bad decisions accidentally stole from Bella. She didn't know who she was stealing from at the time, and my vouching for her were the only things that kept Bella from killing her. Bella couldn't actually kill her though, could she? I mean, you said she was dangerous, but she doesn't seem that tough. Emmett thought he couldn't easily take her in a fight. Bella could take on the entire Volturi guard and not only win by herself without help, but no one would even be able to touch her while she was doing it. Rosalie knew that Bella wouldn't have to change into a dragon to do so. Rosalie had seen Bella's skills when they went against the newborns and knew that Bella wasn't even trying that hard. Are you sure? It's not that I don't believe you, it's just she looks like a weak human. Her eyes are cool but they don't make her dangerous. Emmett was skeptical of Rosalie's claim. Bella hadn't shown anything that would cause him to think she was that dangerous. I'm going to tell you something that I want you to keep to yourself. You can't even tell your mate, Rosalie said. Emmett wanted to make a joke, but the seriousness Rosalie was showing stopped him. Of course. Bella was the one who took care of Victoria and the newborn army, Rosalie told him. Wait, what do you mean? Didn't the Volturi take credit for that? Emmett had been there when Jane and the other guards had come and threatened them after the army was taken care of. They all assumed that meant the guards took care of it themselves. They didn't actually take credit for it. You all just assumed they were the ones who did it. Rosalie had been there as well and had the hardest time not laughing when her family had been discussing the event. Why didn't Bella come forward and correct them? If Emmett took care of the army himself, he wouldn't have let the guard take credit. Bella doesn't care if people know what she does. She just wants to be left alone, Rosalie said. How did she defeat them? Emmett asked. She tracked them to this warehouse where Victoria had over 40 newborns with her. Rosalie began only to be cut off by Emmett. 40 newborns. Emmett couldn't believe that there was so many. How was she able to make it out there alive? I told you she is that skilled. I was there as well and I only killed about a dozen of them. The only reason she didn't kill the ones I took out were because she wanted me to practice my skills. Rosalie had been pleased when Bella didn't take over and gave her a chance to actually fight. It was a good experience to be able to use the fighting techniques her mate taught her in a real-world situation. Okay, there are so many things to unpack with what you just told me. The most surprising is the fact that you are skilled enough to kill a dozen newborns. When we were training you seemed like you barely had any skills. Emmett and the others had been very worried about Rosalie's safety when the actual fight happened. Bella is very big on me knowing how to protect myself. When she learned I didn't know how to fight, she trained me. Every now and then we still practice. Rosalie always enjoyed those practices because the rewards for doing well were very satisfying. This whole time you have known how to fight and you never thought to mention it. Emmett was saddened that he never got to play fight with Rosalie. If she could take out a dozen newborns, then she would make a challenging competitor. Rosalie shrugged. It's never really been something that came up. Even when we were training with the wolves it wasn't that intense. I mean, Jasper's a decent teacher, but I learned more from Bella in an hour than I learned from all of Jasper's teaching. Does that mean Bella is going to train with us? Emmett asked. No, Bella will not be training with us. Rosalie wasn't going to let that happen. Why not? If she is as good as you claim, then we need her help to stand up to the Volturi, Emmett said. Bella isn't here to help with the Volturi. That includes standing up to them. Rosalie told him. Isn't that the reason you asked her to come? Emmett figured that Bella would be there to stand with the rest of the Cullens when the Queens came. I don't want Bella to be involved in any of this. The only reason she is here is because Tanya begged me to ask her to help her. Rosalie still felt bad she had woken Bella up. Even though she was enjoying their time together, she wished that they didn't have to waste it at the Cullens waiting for the Volturi to attack. What help does Tanya need from Bella? Emmett asked. It's her hope that Bella can save Irina from punishment when it's revealed she made a false claim. Rosalie knew that Bella would succeed as the Queens would be falling over themselves to accommodate her. How is Bella going to do that? Emmett didn't think anyone was going to be able to save Irina. I can't get into details, but I have complete faith that Irina will come out of this completely unscathed. Rosalie may have trusted Emmett, but his mind was still unsafe, so she wasn't going to tell him about Bella's relationship with the Queens. What about the rest of us? Emmett hoped if Bella could save Irina, she could save the rest of them as well. Rosalie smiled sadly at her brother. I'm afraid that the rest of you are on your own. Bella wouldn't save us. Emmett figured she would stand with Rosalie's family. Bella's kind doesn't do anything for free. If she were to help you, she would expect some kind of payment. Tanya made the deal knowing this. Rosalie explained. So all I have to do is offer Bella some money and then she will protect me and Rachel. Emmett would pay whatever he needed to keep himself and his mate safe. I hate that I'm encouraging this. Rosalie grumbled. What do you mean? Emmett asked. I mean that Bella hates to be asked to do anything. Actually, she hates doing things, but I know that if I was in your position I would want my mate safe. That being the case, I am going to help you bargain with Bella to keep you and Rachel safe. Rosalie knew that Bella would be grumpy as usual, but her mate also knew how much she loved Emmett and had made comments about how it was nice she had support in her coven. That meant Bella would be more inclined to help Emmett, and Rosalie really wanted him to be safe. How much money do I need to give her? Emmett trusted Rosalie. If she said Bella could keep him and Rachel safe, then he knew she would. Bella doesn't particularly care for money. Rosalie told him. What do I give her then? Emmett asked. Rosalie thought back to her conversation with Bella on the roof and Bella mentioning her hoard. For something this extreme she would usually demand a life debt. A life debt. Emmett didn't want to owe a life debt. If you had let me finish, I would have said Bella would usually demand a life debt, but she was talking about acquiring some new stuff. I think if you can get your hands on some gold and silver bars plus some precious jewels and some expensive jewelry, she would take that as payment. Rosalie knew that Bella would enjoy something shiny to add to her collection. How much are we talking about? Emmett knew that he could get his hands on stuff, he just didn't know how much he would need. As much as you and Rachel could carry. She will expect an offering from each of you, Rosalie said. And you promise we will be safe no matter what? Emmett trusted Rosalie, he just wanted to be sure. Emmett, if you make the deal with Bella and something happens to either you or your mate, then I will let you end my life without any resistance, Rosalie promised. I believe you. Should I ask her when we get back? Emmett asked. Rosalie nodded. I'll be there to convince her to take the deal. Thank you, Rosalie. Emmett was happy that Rosalie was his best friend. She always had his back and proved to be a great ally to have on your side. No, let's get some game. Not only is Bella hungry, but I don't want to leave her alone for long. Who knows what will happen if someone approaches her. Rosalie hoped that Tanya was able to keep people away from Bella. Her love was in a good mood after their 6 days of isolation, and Rosalie was relying on that good mood to convince Bella to help Emmett and Rachel. If Bella got pissed off, they wouldn't have to worry about needing help because Bella would probably just kill all of them. Picking up her speed, Rosalie headed in the direction of some bears she heard. Hopefully they could catch a couple and be back to Bella soon so Rosalie could run interference herself. What is Carlisle doing? Tanya mumbled as she watched Carlisle make his way to the side of the house. She had noticed Rosalie leave with Emmett and knew that it was up to her to make sure Bella wasn't bothered. It seemed that Tanya would be needed sooner than she thought. Not that she was surprised. Carlisle could never resist sticking his nose into everyone's business. Someone like Bella showing up the way she did would have him foaming at the mouth to solve the mystery. The blonde vampire's hope that Carlisle was just looking for something was dashed as she saw him climbing the house to the roof. Taking off as fast as she could, Tanya launched herself onto the roof just in time to intercept Carlisle. "Carlisle, what are you doing?" "I am simply going to have a conversation with Bella." Carlisle was shocked with how quickly Tanya had made it to the roof as he had seen her across the lawn. "Didn't Rosalie tell you to leave her alone?" Tanya knew that Rosalie would have warned them. "It doesn't matter what Rosalie said. I am the coven leader and Bella is a member of my coven. It's my right to talk to her." Carlisle wasn't intimidated by Tanya. He knew the other coven leader was just as much a pacifist as he was and didn't like violence. "I don't care who you are, Bella is to be left alone." Tanya cast a glance at the dragon, pleased that she wasn't reacting to her and Carlisle. Tanya wasn't a fool and knew that Bella was listening to their conversation. That meant it was up to her to get Carlisle off the roof and away from Bella. "Now why don't you get off the roof and help with the training?" "I am not getting off the roof until I speak to Bella." Carlisle wasn't going to leave until Bella talked to him. "Well, Bella doesn't want to talk to you," Tanya told him. "You and Rosalie don't speak for her. Not only that, Bella has no other choice but to speak to me. If she doesn't, then I will be forced to make her leave." Carlisle didn't think Bella would make any kind of difference if she stayed. Rosalie had said she wouldn't be fighting and Carlisle already had enough witnesses, so losing Bella wouldn't make a difference. "Bella will not be leaving." Tanya quickly shut that down. Bella was their only hope to save Irina and Tanya wasn't going to let Carlisle throw her sister's life away because of his wounded pride. "Bella will go if I say so." Carlisle realized that it wasn't just Rosalie that needed to be reminded who was really in charge. "This is my territory you are on. That means what I say goes. If I want to have a conversation with Bella, then Bella will have a conversation with me. If not, then she is to leave the area. Carlisle, I am warning you to leave this roof before you do something you will regret." Tanya knew if he pushed that Bella would retaliate and no one would be able to stop her because Rosalie wasn't around to calm the dragon. Carlisle ignored Tanya's warning and stood before Bella. "Bella, you and I are going to have a conversation." "Carlisle." Tanya began only to be cut off by Carlisle. "No, Tanya, Bella is going to talk to me." Carlisle turned his attention back to Bella. "Bella, not only are you going to tell me what you are, but you are going to shield the minds of my family and our allies." Tanya held her breath when Bella turned her face to Carlisle. The dragon appeared calm, but the raised eyebrow and the fire seeming to almost come alive in her eyes gave away her anger. Tanya had seen that look before and seeing it now brought back the same terror in her as did the first time she has seen it. Taking a step back, keeping her eyes on Bella, Tanya wondered if she could get away quick enough to not be caught in the crosshair of whatever was going to happen to Carlisle. When Bella turned her gaze to the blonde, Tanya knew it was too late. She cursed Carlisle for his stupidity and vowed if they made it out this alive that she would kill the man herself for putting her in this danger. "Don't look at Tanya, look at me," Carlisle demanded. "I am the one you are speaking to. Tanya is not going to save you from this conversation. I'm not involved. I tried to get him to leave you alone." Tanya reminded the dragon, hoping that Bella heard her efforts to get Carlisle off the roof. "And as I told Tanya, you are not only on my territory but Rosalie is in my coven. I sired her. That means she and you through your mate bond are mine," Carlisle told her. "Rosalie is yours." Bella wanted to make sure she heard the man correctly before she made her move. She promised Rosalie she would behave, so she needed to have a believable reason to kill the man. Carlisle ignored Tanya's warning hiss and stepped closer to Bella so that he was towering over the woman. "Yes, and as mine you will do as I tell you to. Tell me what you are and then shield each of us." "Tanya, as a coven leader, do you think Carlisle has the right to claim ownership of Rosalie and myself?" Bella asked Tanya. Tanya immediately shook her head. No, I do not. If anyone has ownership of anyone, then you have ownership of Carlisle, not the other way around. This woman has no ownership over me." Carlisle was outraged that Tanya would say otherwise. "Now quit with these silly game and tell me what you are, then get to work." Bella stood slowly, not at all intimidated by the way Carlisle stepped closer to her once she standing. She was a lot taller than the man and towered over him, making it so he had to crane his neck to look at her face. "You want me to tell you what I am?" "Yes." Carlisle was happy. It seemed Bella understood he was in charge. "I am Death," Bella told him as she lunged forward and grabbed him by the neck. "Shit." Tanya took Bella's distraction as her chance to jump off the roof. Kate was by her side as soon as her feet touched the ground. What the fuck is happening? Kate asked as she watched Carlisle struggling as he dangled off the ground by Bella's hand holding him by the neck. Carlisle tried to talk to Bella. Tanya told her. She is attacking him because he tried to talk to her. Even with Tanya's warning, Kate didn't believe Bella would get violent over a conversation. I told you she was dangerous. Tanya reminded Kate. I see that. Kate said as she watched Bella handle Carlisle. Put me down this instant. Carlisle demanded as he pulled on the hand choking him. Why would I do that? Bella asked him. Because I told you to. Carlisle screeched. What is going on? Edward asked as he raced into the yard after hearing Carlisle's screams. This just got even more fucked up. Tanya mumbled as she watched Edward jump onto the roof. Edward, make this woman unhand me. Carlisle ordered Edward, feeling relieved his son was there to help him. Let him go, Edward demanded. When Bella made no move to release Carlisle, the mind reader lunged at Bella, but before he could even get his arms around the woman, he found himself dangling just like Carlisle from Bella's hand around his throat. Bella growled as she pulled Edward close to her and bit his arm off at the shoulder, then spit it on the ground. She ignored the boy's screams. Give me one good reason not to kill you both. You can't kill us. We are too valuable to the queens. They will kill you if you did. Carlisle knew that his relationship with the queens, even though strained at the moment, would keep him alive. Edward as well, because they wanted his son for the guard. Why would say that? Tanya perked up when she heard 2 sets of feet running towards the house. She hoped that meant Rosalie was back and took control of the situation before someone got hurt. You think the queens will save you? Bella laughed at the vet idea. Pulling Edward close to her face, she ignored his fist as it repeatedly hit her. As he was the one who originally insulted me, I will take care of your maker first, but don't worry, I will come for you. What the hell is going on? Rosalie asked as she took in the scene before her. Emmett was about to ask his own questions when suddenly a very large object was thrown in his direction. It was going too fast for him to see exactly what it was, and he was lucky he moved out the way before it hit him. What the fuck was that? That was Edward. Kate told him. What? Rosalie didn't understand anything that was going on. Her main focus was on Bella, who had just removed Carlisle's hand and looked to be about to eat it. Bella, what are you doing? This man claims ownership of you and I, so I thought it was my right to correct him of that thinking. Bella told her as she lifted Carlisle's hand to her mouth and bit off his pinky finger and ate it. Vampire was a rare treat for her, so she wasn't going to pass up the chance to indulge when she could. Did she just fucking eat his finger? Emmett watched Bella do it but couldn't believe his eyes. He had never seen someone eat a vampire before. Bella stopped eating his hand. Rosalie knew Bella enjoyed vampire every now and then, but she didn't think it was right for her to eat Carlisle. At least until she figured out what was going on. Now tell me what happened. Tanya took this moment to speak because she knew Bella wasn't going to explain this properly and would probably kill a few of them before the whole story was told. Carlisle approached Bella as soon as you left. I told him not to do that. Rosalie should have known Carlisle wouldn't heed her warnings. Yes, well, he did it anyway. Once he got on the roof, I interfered, but he ignored my warnings and demanded Bella talk to him. Tanya said, picking the story back up. Bella of course didn't answer him, so he claimed that as your coven leader and sire that he owned not only you but Bella as well. Then he demanded Bella not only tell him what she was, but he also demanded that she shield the minds of all the vampires gathered here. Bella of course wasn't going to do that, so he threatened to kick her off his territory if she didn't comply. Hearing the extent of Carlisle's stupidity, Rosalie growled. Bella, you may take another finger. Rosalie, Esme exclaimed in shock from her spot on the lawn with all the other vampires watching the events play out. You're lucky that's all she's taking. Rosalie told her. Thank you, beloved. Bella happily took the man's ring finger in her mouth and bit it off. Separating the gold wedding band from it with her tongue, she spit the ring in her hand and put it in her pocket. Rosalie cut off Esme before she could complain. It's her right to claim his possessions as he challenged her and he was defeated. That harlot won't get away with this, Edward declared as he made his way back to the house after pulling himself out of the boulder he was stuck in. Shut up, Edward, Rosalie said as she intercepted the vampire and slammed him to the ground with a hand around his throat. He tried to struggle, so Rosalie ripped his legs off and threw them into the woods. Now stay there while I clean up your mess. You can't do that to him. Carlyle screamed as he watched his first turn thrashing around on ground in pain. My love, may I have his arm? Bella asked. Rosalie couldn't help but smile. I brought you to beat you, don't need any more vampire. What do you want me to do with them? Bella was bored with the situation now that she knew she wouldn't be able to eat them. Well, Carlyle did want you to shield everyone's mind from mental influence. Rosalie thought about the perfect punishment for the pair of idiots. How about we take away Edward's ability to read minds? What, no, you can't do that. Carlyle struggled as hard as he could, but with only one hand he couldn't do much. If that's what my queen wants, then that is what my queen will get. Bella dropped Carlyle's hand on the ground, then with him still in her grip jumped from the roof and approached Edward. She handed Carlyle off to her mate. Would you please keep him restrained? Of course. Rosalie easily contained Carlyle. The man was no match for her. Let me go right this instant. I am your coven leader, you will obey me, Carlyle demanded. Bella ignored the man as she straddled Edward's torso. She grabbed his chin. She forced him to make eye contact. I would apologize because this is going to be extremely painful, but honestly I have no remorse for the pain I'm about to inflict. I'll do anything. Just don't take away my gift. Edward tried to think of a way to get out this, but it seemed his fate was set. He was pissed that the others didn't listen to him when he told them they needed to kill Bella. Hopefully this would be enough proof for the vampires gathered to take action against Rosalie's mate. Bella paid his words no mind as she focused her eyes on the boys and sunk into his mind. She searched for the part of his brain that controlled his gift and with her will alone severed the connection that tied it to his mind. Even if he could find someone to fix it, they wouldn't be able to, because what Bella did was permanent. Rosalie held back a flinch hearing Edward's screams of pain. It wasn't that she felt bad for Edward, she just didn't like seeing anyone in pain. The thing that made it worth it was to know that Edward would not be able to violate anyone ever again. Once the screaming stopped, she asked, "Is it done?" "Yes, the boy's mind is completely useless," Bella confirmed. "Now I'm going to let you go. From this moment forward you are not to address Bella. If she wants to talk to you she will approach you. Do you understand?" Rosalie asked Carlyle. Carlyle was pissed with the way everything had turned out and was already making plans to get his revenge. He was going to make Rosalie regret ever introducing her mate to them. He just needed to step back and plan before acted. "I understand." "Good." Rosalie threw Carlyle on the ground, not at all surprised that he rushed to Edward. Not paying attention to the looks of shock and disbelief mixed in with some of awe, Rosalie held out her hand for a willing Bella to take. "Emmett and I brought back 2 adult bear. Do you want to eat them raw or do you want to roast them?" "I will eat one raw while the other one roasts," Bella said. "I'll get you a shovel so you can start digging the pit for the fire while I collect some wood." Rosalie dismissed the others and went to get the shovel. She hadn't wanted Bella to have to show off how dangerous she was, but was happy that the others saw how formidable the dragon was. Not that Bella did anything spectacular, but that should be enough to keep others from approaching her. The only problem Rosalie could foresee was whatever retaliation Carlyle and Edward would attempt for Bella's treatment of them. The pair were too stupid to understand they were in the wrong and would take the fact that Bella ate Carlyle's fingers and removed Edward's gift as an unprovoked attack instead of Bella just defending herself. Rosalie would wait until Bella ate before she mentioned Emmett and Rachel. Hopefully the fact that Bella got to eat some vampire, which was her favorite food, would put her in a good mood. Food was the way to her mate's heart, and after the fingers and the 2 large bear, Bella should be sated enough for Rosalie to sway her into helping her brother. "Is Bella okay?" Tanya asked Rosalie. She had approached the young vampire once Bella had went off to prepare the bear hides. Tanya wanted to use the chance of Rosalie being alone to make sure Bella was upset. She didn't want Bella to leave and not save Irina. Tanya was still pissed at Carlyle for being so stupid and had plans on confronting him later about it. She knew that he wouldn't take the beating he got as a justified punishment, and Tanya wanted to stop him and Edward from following through on whatever convoluted plan they had come up with to get revenge. "She's mad that she only got to eat 2 of Carlyle's fingers, but fine," Rosalie told her. Tanya flinched thinking back to watching Bella eat those fingers. She was extra happy that Rosalie came to her defense when she had found Bella's keep, because now that she knew Bella ate vampires she could only imagine how extreme her punishment would have been. "That's good. She isn't going to leave if that's what you are worried about." Rosalie could easily pick up on Tanya's worries. Thank God. Tanya would just have to be extra cautious in keeping Bella away from people so that the dragon didn't change her mind. She wants to explore her new territory a bit. I actually wouldn't be surprised if she decided to stay after the queens were dealt with, Rosalie said. Her new territory. Tanya didn't understand what Rosalie was talking about. When one of her kind is challenged, the winner of the challenge gains ownership of the loser's hoard. Which means Bella now owns all Carlisle's possessions. That includes this territory, Rosalie explained. I don't think Carlisle will go along with that. Tanya was sure that the coven leader would not hand over his belongings willingly. It doesn't matter what he will go along with. You know how Bella's kind is about things. This is a rule that has existed for as long as her people have been on Earth. If Carlisle resisted Bella as the queen could call on her people to come and take everything by force. So unless Carlisle can fight off Bella's guards, then I doubt he will be able to keep anything, Rosalie told her. Shit. Tanya was now mid-plan on how to get away from the Cullens as soon as Irina was safe. She didn't want to be around when a bunch of dragons showed up to repossess things. It's rare that the guard gets involved in things like this, but Bella has been petitioned before to step in when someone reneges on an agreement. Rosalie had been by Bella's side when she conducted court and was involved in the decision-making as Bella included her in all aspects of ruling over the dragons. Rosalie had great influence on their society as her position made her equal to Bella. Is she going to confront him soon? Tanya asked. Rosalie shrugged. It depends on what is going on. She may decide to go through the contents of the house and pick out the things she wants to bring back to her keep, but she won't leave until the queens are dealt with. And no one has heard anything from Alice. Tanya hoped that the seer would have at least checked in by now. Not that I was told, but Bella and I were busy for the last week. We aren't caught up on the current events, Rosalie said. True. Tanya had heard what the dragon and Rosalie had been up to, and although afraid of Bella, she was somewhat jealous of Rosalie for having such a passionate mate. She was just about to ask another question, but she quickly shut her mouth seeing Bella approach. Hello, love, are you done? Rosalie asked as Bella walked up to her and gave her a chaste kiss. The hides will make beautiful rugs once I am done with them, Bella told her. Rosalie preened, knowing that she was able to supply her mate with not only food but something that would be used for her comfort. I'm glad you enjoyed them. The bear were not as good as vampire, but they were filling. Bella was still grumpy from not being able to have more than a snack before the bear, but wouldn't go against Rosalie's wishes. What do you want to do now? Rosalie asked. I heard that the ocean was nearby. It has been a while since I have been. Would you like to go with me? Bella had taken a shower with Rosalie, but she preferred to soak her body. That is the wolves' territory. I'm not allowed on their lands. Rosalie would like to go. It'd been a while since she had been swimming. You think the wolves will keep us off their lands? Bella laughed at the very idea. Well, I will leave you two to your plans, Tanya said, making a quick exit. If Bella was going to be getting into a fight with the wolves, Tanya wanted no part of it. It's not that the wolves will keep us off their lands, it's just that we have a treaty with them that says that they don't come on our lands and we don't go on theirs, Rosalie explained. That treaty wasn't made with me, and as these are now my lands, I will have to discuss a new arrangement, Bella said. Rosalie wasn't sure how that would go over, but Bella did have a good point. Carlisle wasn't in charge anymore, so it would be up to Bella to decide what the relationship with the wolves was going forward. I'll call the Alpha and have him meet us at the border. No, let's just go. If you call him, then he will think that he has the authority to make rules for us, Bella told her. All right, let's go. Rosalie held her hand out for Bella and led her towards the treaty line. The wolves must have been patrolling close to the line, because as soon as she and Bella were in seeing distance, Rosalie heard the footfalls of at least 4 of them. It seems they have sent a welcoming party, Bella said as 3 wolves came to the clearing and began growling at her and Rosalie's. Not to be outdone, Bella growled back. Rosalie chuckled when the wolves yelped and cowered in the presence of Bella. It was obvious they knew they were in the company of a predator. We aren't here to fight. We are here to speak to your Alpha about the treaty. Sam will be here soon, a boy wearing a pair of cut-off shorts said as he made his way out from behind a tree. Is this Sam boy your Alpha? Bella wasn't going to deal with him if he wasn't. Before the boy could answer, Bella heard numerous howls and the running of more wolves. It was obvious they were staging around them so they would be in a good position to attack if things got out of hand. Not that Bella was worried about it. She could more than take care of herself, and Rosalie was formidable enough in her own right. "I am Sam. What is it you want?" Sam asked as he walked up to the line. He knew Rosalie as she was one of the Cullens, but didn't know the woman standing with her, a woman that radiated danger. "I am here to inform you the treaty you have with Carlyle is void." Bella began, only to be cut off by growling and barking from the wolves. Sam held up his hand to keep his pack quiet. "What do you mean it is void?" "Carlyle has lost ownership of these lands and they now belong to me." "That being the case, it is me you have to make a treaty with," Bella told them. "What do you mean Carlyle lost ownership of these lands?" Sam thought he would have been informed of this development. "The vampire challenged me to a fight and lost. It's because of that he forfeited his property and possessions to me," Bella said. "That doesn't make sense." Sam had never heard of someone losing their property because they lost a fight. "What do you not understand?" Bella asked. "How is it legal for someone to lose their stuff just because they lost a fight?" Sam was quite sure this woman wasn't telling the truth. The story she was telling wasn't believable. In the laws of combat it states that if one accepts a challenge, the winner of that challenge gains ownership of the loser's hoard. Bella didn't understand why that confused the wolf. Sam took a moment to think things through. "I can't take your word for it. Carlyle has to confirm it before we will even consider negotiating a new treaty." "Why don't you call him now?" Rosalie knew there was going to be a confrontation and figured it was better to get it over with. The faster they did, the quicker they would be able to go swimming. "What do I even say to him?" Sam asked. "Inform him that I am here negotiating a new treaty, and if he has a problem with that he can join us," Bella told him. "All right." Sam pulled his cell phone out of the pocket of his shorts. He pulled up Carlyle's contact and dialed. "Hello Sam, what can I do for you?" They all heard Carlyle's voice ask. "Well, there is a woman here with Rosalie who is claiming that you no longer own the territory and she wants to renegotiate the treaty," Sam explained. "She what?" Carlyle voiced roared through the phone line. "She is claiming that you lost your right to the territory because you lost a fight against her, and because of that she now owns all your possessions," Sam told him. "Is she at the line right now?" Carlyle asked. "Yes, she is here right now," Sam confirmed. "I'll be there soon." And with that the line went dead. "I guess we just stay here until Carlyle comes." Rosalie knew when he came he wouldn't be alone. Not that it mattered, as she and Bella would be able to defeat the whole group of vampires gathered at the Cullens and the wolves if they teamed up. She was just upset because instead of enjoying her time her mate she was going to have to deal Carlyle again, and dealing with Carlyle meant dealing with Edward. She wondered what sort of punishment she should inflict on the duo this time. They had already taken Edward's gift and Carlyle's hoard, so there really wasn't anything else they could take. Carlyle prided himself at being a doctor, so maybe she would let Bella keep one of his hands. "Carlyle, I want you to stop and think before you go storming out there," Tanya told the man as she watched him angrily pace around the yard. The group of vampires gathered had all been made aware of Bella's claim, as Carlyle had started ranting about it as soon as he disconnected the call. Tanya didn't particularly care about Carlyle losing his possessions, she cared about him picking a fight with Bella. She knew that Bella was already annoyed with the other coven leader, and Tanya was afraid if there was another confrontation that Bella would just kill him and leave. The killing Carlyle part wasn't a big concern, it was Bella leaving that she wanted to prevent. "Oh, I have thought about it, and the conclusion I have come to is that Bella needs to die," Carlyle declared. "Carlyle is right. We need to band together and kill Bella." Edward waved his arm at the group of vampires in the clearing. "If we come together she will be no threat to us." "Why would we want to kill Bella?" Emmett wasn't going to go along with the plan, but wanted to get as much information as he could so he could warn Rosalie. "Because she is a dangerous threat." Edward saw it like it was obvious. "It seemed like the only one Bella is a threat to is you and your maker," Liam pointed out. "Yeah, she seemed more than happy to ignore all of us until you approached her," Maggie said. "It doesn't matter. She can not only block our gifts but take them away if she wants to." Edward had been in Carlyle's office with him researching a way to get his gift back when he received Sam's phone call. The pair didn't have any luck, and Carlyle had been planning to reach out to some friends in the castle to help with the research. "I don't personally see that as a bad thing. Kate told him. So you would be alright if she decided to take your gift from you. Carlisle didn't believe Kate would ever give up her gift without a fight. I'm not worried about it. I have no issues with Bella, so I doubt she would take it randomly. From what Kate had learned from Tanya and witnessed herself was that Bella didn't care about you unless you bothered her or Rosalie. Kate got along just fine with the blonde vampire and had no need to talk to Bella. She was pretty sure because of that her gift wouldn't be taken away. Then how do you not see it as a bad thing? Edward asked. Because you used your gift to violate every single person you encountered. I am happy that you no longer have it, Kate told him as others in the group voiced their agreement. Edward growled. My gift kept everyone safe. Your gift gave you a god complex, Rachel said. Carlisle grabbed Edward to stop him from advancing on Rachel. We shouldn't be fighting each other, we should be coming together to kill Bella. If Bella is as dangerous as you say, shouldn't we want to make peace with her so she will stand with us against the queens? Stefan, one of the Romanians, asked. We won't have to worry about the queens if all of us are dead. Edward screeched. Yeah, I'm all for a good fight. It's just I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to go against an unknown supernatural who eats vampires. Garrett shivered thinking about Bella eating Carlisle's fingers. That's why we need to unite against her. She would never be able to defeat the group of us. Why, I bet we could get the wolves on our side as well. Carlisle was sure that he could convince Sam of Bella being a threat to his people. I don't see Rosalie going along with this, Rachel said. Rosalie is immune to all our gifts, that means she needs to die as well. Edward thought that was obvious. No one is killing Rosalie. Emmett didn't care if Rosalie could defend herself, he would eliminate any threat to his sister. Even if that meant he had to kill Edward and Carlisle himself. Wait, you are saying that the reason Rosalie needs to die is because she is immune to our gifts? Kate wanted to make sure she understood what Edward was saying. Edward nodded. Anyone immune to our gifts is a threat. They need to be eliminated so that they can't turn against us. Tanya is immune to all our gifts, does that mean she needs to die as well? Kate asked. Carlisle cut Edward off before he could speak. Of course not. Rosalie is a threat because of Bella. That's the reason she needs to die. You're willing to kill one of your own children. Carmen couldn't believe that Carlisle was actually supporting killing one of his family members. Rosalie has gone against her maker. It is my right to kill her because of her disrespect, Carlisle said. If I don't stand with you, are you going to kill me as well? Emmett asked. I hope it won't come to that, but if you don't join my side against Bella, then I will consider you in league with Rosalie. Carlisle knew that they would need Emmett on their side for his strength. That's why if he had to, he would order Emmett to fight with him. Rachel growled. Are you threatening my mate? Emmett will fight alongside me against will you as Emmett's mate. I own the both of you and it would do you well to remember that, Carlisle told her. You don't own me or my mate. Emmett roared as he advanced on Carlisle. Tanya got in between the two before Emmett got close enough to actually hurt Carlisle, and with the help of Kate held him back. Emmett, he isn't worth it. You dare try and attack me. Carlisle was outraged that one of his children would even consider hurting him. Carlisle, shut your mouth before you lose the rest of your coven. Tanya knew Carlisle as a family man who loved each of his coven members like they were his own children. To hear him talk about killing them made her think he had gone a bit insane. Then again, Bella was involved, and when the dragon was involved things usually went to shit. Don't you talk to him like that. Edward wasn't going to put up with anyone being disrespectful to his sire. You are a guest here, that means you are here because Carlisle is allowing you to be. If he wanted, he could kick you all out of his territory. From what we heard, this isn't his territory anymore, Kate reminded him. This is my territory. That woman is making false claims. Carlisle was getting beyond frustrated with the group for not standing with him. I doubt she sees it that way. Siobhan, seeing the way Carlisle was acting, had her rethinking her coven's involvement with this whole situation. She was actually considering going to Voltaire and speaking to the queens herself. It might be better for her family in the long run, because even though she didn't know what Bella was, it was quite obvious that the woman was extremely dangerous. Dangerous enough the Irish coven leader didn't want her as an enemy. Which is why we need to kill her. Edward sighed. Carlisle tried a different tactic to get the group on his side. You think she will stop at claiming my possessions? No, she will start with my territory and then move on to all of yours. None of us are safe with her around. I don't think that's wouldn't go out of her way to take things from anyone unless it was earned. Tanya knew for a fact Bella wouldn't just forcefully take anything because it would be considered stealing. Dragons didn't steal. It was considered the worst thing a dragon could do and usually ended with a death sentence. Well, since you know her so well, you can tell us what she is then. Carlyle knew that Tanya was aware of what kind of supernatural Bella was. If we know what she is, then it would be easier to defeat her. No way. I'm not telling you anything about Bella. Tanya shot that idea down right away. Why not? Edward asked. Because I don't want to die. Something that would happen if I told you what I knew about her. You may be considered friends, but I'm not going to be killed and eaten because of your wounded egos. Tanya was not going to sacrifice herself for Carlyle. She already owed Bella a life debt. She wasn't risking whatever punishment Bella would see fit to give her if she betrayed the dragon. This has nothing to do with our egos. It is about a very real threat that you are withholding information about that could help us defeat. If we kill her, it won't matter what you tell us, Carlyle said. Tanya shook her head. Not doing it. I am not getting involved in your vendetta, nor will I allow any members of my coven to join you either. Carlyle looked to Eleazar for support. Eleazar, we have been friends for centuries. You will help us, right? I stand with my mate and my coven. Eleazar trusted Tanya. If she said Bella couldn't be defeated, then he wasn't going to try. Noticing Carlyle's eyes focused on her, Carmen met his gaze straight on. I stand with my mate and my coven. Then you all need to leave. If can't be counted on for this, then there is no way you can be counted on not to side with the Volturi when they come. Carlyle hated that he couldn't trust his closest allies anymore, but if they stood by and did nothing against Bella, then they would probably do nothing when the queens came. We aren't leaving. Tanya told him. You will leave if I tell you to, Carlyle said. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Although Kate would prefer to leave, Tanya had promised that Bella could save Irina. Even if it was only a slight chance to save her sister, Kate was going to take it. That meant staying in Forks waiting for the confrontation. Then will we just have to force you? Edward wasn't afraid of the Denali. They were a coven of weak women with a browbeaten man that accompanied them. How are you going to do that? Kate asked. Emmett, you take Kate. Edward, take Tanya. Esme and Rachel, you take Carmen, and I will take Eleazar, Carlyle told them. You're mine. Edward moved as soon as Carlyle gave his order. He rushed Tanya, but before he could even touch the blonde vampire, he felt his body convulse as electricity flowed through it. The feeling seemed to go forever, and when it stopped, he came face to face with an enraged Kate. You dare attack my sister? Kate growled at the boy before sending short burst of electricity through his body. Let me go. Carlyle was being held to the ground by Eleazar's boot to his neck. I think I like you just where you are. Eleazar looked to his mate, seeing her restraining Esme. Are you all right, my love? Just fine, and you? Carmen had easily overpowered Esme when the woman had tried to rush her. It was actually a very pitiful attempt. Fine. Eleazar replied, putting more pressure on Carlyle's throat when the man tried to push him off. Tanya looked at the group around her, making sure to make eye contact with each one. Are any of you planning to side with Carlyle to try and force us to leave? I have no quarrel with you, Garrett told her. We have no quarrel either, Siobhan said, as others murmuring their agreements. Good, then are you two going to be a problem? Tanya asked Emmett and Rachel. Emmett shook his head. We are on your side. How dare you? I am your sire, you will do as I say. Carlyle chalked out with the little bit out air he was getting to his lungs. That's the thing, you aren't my sire and I don't take orders from anyone. Rachel was happy for a chance to break off from Carlyle. She only stayed in the coven because Emmett loved his family and she had a close relationship with Rosalie. Then you two need to leave as well. Carlyle wasn't going to put up with any more disrespect. How are you going to make them do that? Kate was curious how Carlyle was going to make anyone do anything while he was being held to the ground. This is my territory. You all will obey me. Carlyle screamed. No one will be obeying you. If it weren't for the fact that a young child's life was in danger, most of us would just leave you, Amun said. He wasn't pleased to be involved with this situation, but he was already implicated and he truly didn't want to see an innocent child killed. Plus he figured it was better to face the queens and deal with them head-on than living in fear for the rest of their lives. You would abandon us after all we have done for you. Edward couldn't believe Amon had the audacity to even threaten to leave. Amon laughed. What have you ever done for me or my coven? All that you do is bring chaos to my life. We live a simple life and yet every time you contact us you drag us into one mess or other. So the question should be, why do you keep trying to sacrifice us after all we have done for you? All right, enough of the empty threats, Kate said, getting back on topic. Now that we know that no one is going to listen to Carlisle, what do you want to do with them? I say we let Bella eat them, Rachel suggested. Although tempting, I don't think that would be the right thing to do. Eleazar may have been angry but didn't believe the three had done anything worth being eaten. I can't believe you are taking the moral high ground after the three of them attacked us, Kate said. I'm not taking the option off the table, I'm saying that for this situation it doesn't warrant death by eating, Eleazar told her. That doesn't mean we can't offer a limb or two, Rachel once again suggested. Why are you so keen on Bella eating them? Garrett asked. Rachel shrugged. It's the easiest way to deal with them. I think we should call Rosalie and explain what happened. That way she and Bella can decide what they would like to do. Tanya figured letting Rosalie be in charge of her coven leader was the best idea. Not only that, but it would be the best way to get on Bella's good side if she was allowed to dole out some kind of punishment. Dragons lived for violence, so offering the 3 vampire prisoners would make her happy. Good idea. She would know how best to deal with them. Emmett agreed. I'll text her so the wolves don't hear about us fighting each other. Rachel knew it would make them look bad if the wolves found out they were turning on each other. It could make them think the vampires were easy to pick off and they might try to attack them. You do that and we will just keep them restrained until they get here. Tanya was extremely unhappy with Carlisle and the way he had been handling things since Bella had shown. Tanya knew that once Bella dealt with Carlisle that it would up to her to take charge of everything because the man couldn't be trusted to make good decisions. She would have to of course speak to Rosalie about it, but she was sure that Rosalie wouldn't want to deal with being in charge. The blonde vampire was a lot like her mate in that she liked to be left alone and wasn't that keen on interacting with others. Tanya just hoped by offering Bella Carlisle, Edward and Esme it would appease the dragon enough to stick around. Now what's going on? Rosalie asked as she and Bella walked back to the Cullens' home. She wasn't sure what to expect when she got the vague text from Rachel, but seeing Carlisle, Esme and Edward being restrained by the Denali was not it. Rosalie was very annoyed because she knew that her and Bella's plans to go swimming were going to have to wait. It was just another way that Carlisle screwed up the good things in her life. It did guarantee that Rosalie was going to punish the 3 severely for ruining her private time with Bella. Carlisle and Edward seem to think we need to join together and kill both you and Bella, Emmett told her. Rosalie laughed. They actually believe they could kill us. If you let me go I will do it myself, Edward screeched. I think I would like to see that, Kate said. What was their reason for killing us? Rosalie figured it was because of the fight with Bella but wanted to be sure. Carlisle was very upset when the wolves called and told him Bella claimed ownership of all his possessions. He felt that Bella's claim was false. Tanya was cut off by Bella's growl. I would not steal someone's hoard. Bella was highly offended that anyone would accuse her of such a vile thing. Tanya took a step away from the dragon. No one but Carlisle and Edward thought you would do something so despicable. Tanya defended you by saying you would never do that, Eleazar said. Rosalie put her hand on Bella's shoulder to calm her down. They needed to know all the facts before they moved on to the punishments. What else happened? When he gained no support for his cause he demanded that myself and my coven leave. We of course declined, so Carlisle instructed his coven to attack us to force us to. Emmett and Rachel sided with us, and as you can see this is the results of the attack. Tanya motioned to the 3 vampires being held. We figured we hold them until you got here and let you decide what you wanted to do with them, as it was you they wanted to kill. You stupid idiots. It was because of things like this that made Rosalie question why she stayed with the Cullens for so long. Maybe she should see about staying with the Denali once this was all over. If not them, then she knew that the queens would welcome her with open arms. They would do it so they could have Bella on their side. What do you want to do with them? Kate was excited to see what Bella was going to do. She hoped that if they weren't killed, Bella would at least eat a limb or two. It was horrifying to watch her eat vampire, but somewhat fascinating also, and Kate wanted to see her do it with something bigger than a finger. As long as it wasn't her coven being eaten, that is. Rosalie looked to Bella, smiling when she saw the pleading look in her eyes. I know what you want. You to want to fight them. Actually, my love, I want you to fight them. They seem to think you are an easy target, and I think this is a good opportunity to show everyone why you should be feared, Bella said. You don't want a chance. Rosalie wasn't against the idea, she just figured Bella would like the chance to beat on someone. Bella shook her head. No, I'm perfectly content watching you. I only ask that you save me some parts of them to snack on. Yes. Rachel was beyond happy that she was getting her wish for Carlisle and Edward to be eaten. She didn't particularly care about Esme, as the woman was meek and blindly followed Carlisle. Rachel wouldn't mind if the woman lost a hand or arm. You really like vampires being eaten, don't you? Garrett was somewhat concerned with Rachel's reaction. With her link to Rosalie, he was going to make sure to not get on the woman's bad side in case Rachel asked Rosalie to have Bella eat him. Rachel shrugged. I want them to be taken down a peg. What better way than to be eaten by the very person they want to kill? That's true. Garrett reluctantly agreed. So who are you going to fight first? Emmett was excited to see Rosalie's skills. How about all three together? Bella suggested. Are you sure that's wise? Tanya had never seen Rosalie fight before, but didn't think she could take on not only Carlisle, who's centuries older than her, but the other two as well. Rosalie smiled. I think it's brilliant. Form a circle so they cannot flee, Bella told the group. This is so rad, Kate said as she, along with everyone else, formed a large circle. Rosalie took her place in the middle of the circle. Release them. You think you best me, Carlisle called out as he rushed Rosalie. I'm going to kill you, Edward screamed as he rushed Rosalie. Shit, Tanya mumbled as she watched Rosalie dodge a punch from Carlisle. It seemed Edward's tactic was to tackle Rosalie, but as soon as he got his arms around Rosalie, she flipped him over her back, causing him to slam to the ground face first. Tanya was surprised when Esme actually joined the fight, going at Rosalie, fists waving. She would have thought Esme would try and get out the fight as to not hurt one of her children, but it seemed she was just as pissed off as her mate and Edward. Did you see that? Kate asked as Rosalie stomped her foot behind her hard enough that the impact separated Edward's arm from his shoulder. She hadn't even glanced Edward's way while she did, as her focus was on Carlisle, who had a hold of her arm. Rosalie was growing bored with the fight. At least the newborns had been a challenge. Twisting her arm so that she was now holding Carlisle's, she turned it to an angle and tugged, ripping it off his body. She ignored his screams as she deflected a kick from Esme. She returned the favor and kicked Esme as hard as she could, forcing the woman into the arms of the vampires forming the circle. Edward had taken that moment to get back to his feet, but not having his gift and missing an arm made him useless. Rosalie didn't give him a chance to do anything before she kicked his knee, causing it to snap off his lower leg from his body. Jesus. Emmett been skeptical when Rosalie told him that she took care of a dozen newborns by herself, but as he watched her rip Carlisle's other arm off, he could easily see her do it. He was definitely going to ask Rosalie to fight. He probably wouldn't win, but at least he could learn some cool moves. That's enough, Rosalie said as she tackled Esme to the ground and took off all four of her limbs. Edward was out of commission due to his lack of leg, and Carlisle was trying to regroup. Esme had been annoying, and Rosalie was happy she got to cause her pain. Deciding to end it, she went to Carlisle and stopped him from trying to get Edward to get his help to reattach his arms. Ripping his legs off as well, she picked him up by the throat and shook him. Do you yield? You won't get away with this. Carlisle may have been beaten, but he would get his revenge. I think that's a no, Kate yelled out, earning an elbow in the side by Tanya. You do not bring attention to yourself, Tanya hissed. If you do not yield, I suppose I could ask your son. Rosalie threw Carlisle to the ground and went to Edward. He tried to fight her, but Rosalie gave him the same treatment she gave the other two and ripped his limbs off. Raising him to eye level, she asked, do you admit defeat and yield? I will make you pay for this. Edward was going to make Rosalie regret the day she was born once he got his hands on her. Rosalie tightened her hold on Edward's neck, causing cracks to form. You either yield or I take your head, and Bella will get a new trophy to add to her collection. She collects heads. Emmett hoped he would get a chance to be friends with Bella because the violent woman was the kind of person Emmett would enjoy spending time with. I have a room full, Bella told him. That's so cool. Emmett was definitely going to ask Rosalie if she could arrange for him to see the room. Rosalie ignored the conversation as she shook Edward. "Your time is running out." Edward yielded. Carlisle didn't want Edward to die, especially since he would be needed to help Carlisle get his revenge. "I yield." Edward gritted out between clenched teeth. "What did he say?" "We didn't hear him," Rachel called out, earning a smile from her own mate. "I yield," Edward screamed. Rosalie threw him to the ground, then turned her attention to Bella, smirking as she saw the lustful look Bella was giving her. Rosalie knew they had to hurry up and finish this because Bella was probably going to drag her off someplace private as soon as possible. "My love, what do you want to eat?" "I will accept whatever the group wishes to offer," Bella told her. Rosalie addressed Tanya as she was one of the ones Carlisle insulted. "It's up to you guys as he attacked your coven." "I think we should let Bella eat all of them," Kate said. Tanya shot her look to keep Kate quiet. The coven leader knew it was up to her to decide what permanent damage would be done to the trio. Think of not only what would be an appropriate punishment but would please Bella as well, Tanya decided. "I think Bella is entitled to an arm from each of them." "You can't let her do that," Carlisle screeched. "You should be grateful she isn't taking more than that," Tanya told him. "I will get all of you for this. No matter how far you run, you won't be able to get away from me," Edward threatened. "Are you sure she shouldn't take their legs? That would slow them down enough they wouldn't be a threat anymore," Rachel suggested. "Tempting, but then we would be in charge of getting them prosthetics." Tanya didn't want to deal with that. "Arms it is then." Rosalie went about picking up one of each of their arms. She let Carlisle keep his right arm because that hand still had all his fingers. She may have hated him, but she wasn't cruel enough to leave him without a way to care for himself. Taking the 3 arms, she handed them to Bella. "Here you are, my love." Bella kissed her passionately, not caring they had an audience. "You are magnificent. So what should we do with them now that they can't be trusted not to attack us?" Katchery of the Amazon Coven and her 2 coven mates had discussed leaving after Bella had gotten there, as all 3 had recognized what Bella was. Dragons were rare, but they had interacted with one centuries ago. The red eyes with fire were a giveaway, and the Amazons weren't sure they wanted to be involved in anything that included a dragon. They stuck around because, like the others, they were already implicated. That, and they had taken a shine to the child and didn't wish for it to get hurt. "That we will leave up to Bella, and I have plans," Rosalie told them as she grabbed Bella's hand and led her towards the house, ignoring any replies from the group. "I think we should have someone go to town and buy us all earplugs," Emmett said, knowing exactly what was going to happen once Bella and Rosalie got into Rosalie's bedroom. "I'm jealous personally," Kate shrugged, noticing the incredulous looks she got from the others. "Bella is obviously an exceptional lover. We all heard how satisfied Rosalie is. I'm not stupid enough to say that to them, but I wouldn't mind a mate that had that much passion and stamina." "Anyway," Tanya said, changing the subject. She agreed with Kate about how great Rosalie's bed partner was, but it would cause trouble to be caught talking about it. Suggestions on what to do with them. "Will Edward's maid be a problem?" Amen asked. Rachel shook her head. "She cares more for the child than Edward. She won't do anything to jeopardize keeping it safe. We have a week and a half until they come. I say we put them in their rooms in this state and put them back together the day the queens get here," Siobhan said. "Then we don't have to listen to them," Garrett said. "I'll grab Esme and Carlisle," Emmett volunteered. "I'll get Edward and put him in his old room in the main house." Rachel figured it wouldn't be a good idea for Edward's child to see him dismantled. "Make sure you put their remaining limbs in their rooms with them. The last thing we need is Bella finding one and eating it," Tanya told them. "I personally think we should let her." Rachel would have let Bella eat all 3 of them. "With the way their luck is going, I have no doubt that Bella will get her chance," Tanya said, the others voicing their agreement. Tanya was happy that the Carlisle nonsense was taken care of for now, but knew this wouldn't be the last time they had deal with the other coven leader. If they didn't have to save Irina, Tanya would have abandoned the cause weeks ago. Her sister needed her though, and that meant they needed Bella. Tanya hoped that seeing the dragon would cause the queens to let them all go, but she wasn't going to count on it. It would all depended on if Bella thought they were worthy enough to be called allies. Giving her the limbs was a good move in making Bella happy, so maybe Tanya would get lucky and her coven would get a pass. She would talk to Rosalie about it later. She would know the best way to ask Bella. I'm going to kill whoever that is, Rosalie said as she slumped her naked body on top of an equally as naked Bella. The pair had been enjoying their time alone and Rosalie hadn't been close to being done. If it weren't for the person knocking on her door, she would be focusing on pleasure, not on violence. She quickly corrected the thought. Being intimate with Bella did sometimes result in violence, but the good kind. She especially liked when Bella let Rosalie dominate her. Rosalie knew it was a privilege that Bella had never allowed another being, and it touched Rosalie deeply to know her mate would do anything to please her. Even if it was something that she normally would never allow. Not that Bella objected. As a matter of fact, the dragon admitted that sometimes it was nice not having to be in control. Hearing the knock again, Rosalie got up and reached for a robe. If you do kill them, will you please let me eat them? Bella asked. Rosalie's laugh turned into a growl when once again the person knocked. Opening the door, Rosalie bared her teeth and demanded, "What do you want?" "Well, it's just," Emmett stuttered out. How he got picked to do this he wasn't sure. The others used the excuse that Rosalie liked him the best and would probably not kill him, but now faced with the enraged vampire, Emmett didn't think that was true. "It's just what?" Rosalie asked impatiently. "I didn't want to bother you, but the others thought you would want to know that the queens will be here tomorrow. They figured if you needed to hunt or do anything before they came, you would want time to do it." Emmett happily put the blame on everyone else. He had never been afraid of Rosalie before, but now looking at the angry vampire he was terrified. "Thank you of letting us know." Rosalie didn't wait for a reply before she slammed the door in his face. "I guess we are done for now," Bella said as she stood from the bed. Rosalie ogled her mate as Bella walked towards the bathroom. "I hate this." "I don't," Bella told her. "How could you not?" Rosalie was highly offended that Bella didn't mind that they were interrupted. Bella shrugged. "Because if we are going to be facing the queens soon, then mostly likely someone is going to die. That being the case, I'm sure the queens will let me eat the dead vampire." "Of course you are thinking with your stomach." Rosalie should have known. Bella would never pass up the chance to eat vampire. "Well, it's been years since I've been able to partake, and you have not allowed me more than a few snacks while we have been here. Even though I have many justified reasons to kill most of the vampires gathered. If Bella had it her way, she would have eaten at least Edward a long time ago." Rosalie had always stopped her, though, claiming it wouldn't be right to kill someone without reason. "I know, sweetheart, but we need to wait for the queens to come. If it weren't for Irina, I would have let you eat the three of them after the fight, but the queens will need someone to blame, and I don't feel comfortable allowing the others that came to help be those someones," Rosalie said. Bella turned on the shower and stepped in. "You know I love your compassion, but it's annoying when it gets in the way of me killing things." "You will survive." Rosalie stepped in the shower with Bella, happily turning so Bella could wash her hair. Most of the time when they were together, they bathed in the lake that formed through the large hole in part of Bella's keep after centuries of rain. The only time they used an actual bath or shower was when Rosalie convinced Bella to spend time in civilization. Then they indulged in the ordinate baths Bella commissioned for the properties she bought for Rosalie as gifts. "Is there anything you need to do before they come?" "I would say that hunting would be nice, but I don't want to ruin my appetite for tomorrow." "What about you?" Bella asked as she took a washcloth and began washing Rosalie's body. Rosalie shook her head. "Other than speaking to everyone to make a plan, I don't have anything I need to do." "Do you want to try to go swimming again?" Bella would like the opportunity to experience the ocean. It had been a long time since she swam in salt water. "We would have to deal with the wolves again, but that could be fun." Rosalie didn't want to deal with another confrontation, but she did want to go swimming. "The wolves will just have to get over themselves because I'm not in the mood to deal with any more nonsense," Bella told her. "They will likely try to challenge us if we go on their land without permission." Rosalie knew that the wolves would attack them if they stepped over the line. "I've always wanted to have a pet. What would be more perfect than a pack of wolves that can take care of themselves that I don't have to give that much attention to?" Bella wouldn't mind owning a wolf pack. They would make impressive guard dogs for the next court session. I doubt they would go along with being owned. Rosalie knew they wouldn't and expected someone would be losing their life before they complied. "Well, it is the owner's responsibility to discipline their pets when they misbehave. So if they don't obey me, then I will have to use physical violence to train them too." Bella knew that the wolves would fall in line after a demonstration. How would that work with them having an alpha? Rosalie asked. Bella chuckled. Oh my love. I sometimes forget that you haven't been around shifters other than dragons and these pitiful wolves. What do you mean? Rosalie didn't think it would make a difference if Bella was a dragon. The wolves only followed their alpha. I mean that I am the ultimate alpha. All shifters bow to me, including all the dragons. I suppose if there were a shifter species that was stronger than dragons I could be overthrown, but as there aren't, I am the one they bow to, Bella told her. Rosalie finished rinsing off and stepped out of the shower. How do other shifters know that? Others can feel my presence and they know that I am the ultimate predator. You have seen it with not only the dragons but any other species that I come in contact with, Bella said. Rosalie had seen the uncontrollable fear Bella caused in people by just being near them. She always thought that it was because of the way Bella presented herself. I know you are powerful, but I don't feel the need to defer to you. That's because you are my mate. I was literally born to be with you. That's why when you are near me you feel safe and cared for. Bella explained as she turned off the water and stepped out of the shower, grabbing a towel to dry herself. I do feel safe and cared for, Rosalie agreed. There you have it. Bella kissed her on the cheek. Do you have a bathing suit I can borrow? I normally wouldn't care, but I know how you feel about others seeing me naked, and as I'm sure we won't be left alone, I'll need to be covered. Rosalie growled, thinking about someone seeing Bella's naked body. I'll find you something. Thank you, beloved. Bella said. What do you think the others have planned for when the queens come? I think everyone but Tanya, Emmett, Rachel and probably Kate are preparing to have to fight, Rosalie told her as she handed Bella a purple bikini that Rosalie thought would work well with her skin tone. I know why Tanya would not be worried, but why the other three? Bella asked. I just realized that in our distraction I forgot to ask you something. Rosalie was happy that she remembered before the queens came. Bella looked at her suspiciously. The last time you asked me something I wound up dealing with a group of vampires that tried to kill us. I know, and this is nothing like that. Rosalie, seeing Bella was still unconvinced, quickly began explaining. I want to ask if you would be willing to protect Emmett and his mate Rachel from the queens. And why would I do that? Bella asked. Well, the first reason is because Emmett and Rachel are important to me. The second being that they are offering to pay you with a sizable amount of gold, silver and jewels. Rosalie felt hopeful that Bella would agree when she didn't object right away. Bella was intrigued by the payment. What do they consider a sizable amount? As much as both of them can carry, Rosalie told her. Normally I would ask for a life debt, but because both have supported you over the years and I have been wanted to add to my hoard, I will accept these terms. I won't demand payment up front because of your relationship with them. That being said, they will have 30 days after the queens leave to pay in full, or I will kill both of them. Bella may give them the benefit of the doubt due to Rosalie's feelings for the pair, but she would not hesitate to kill them if they defaulted on the payment. Rosalie winced thinking about Bella killing her brother and sister. She would not argue with her mate, however, as Bella was being more than generous, not demanding payment up front and giving them a whole month to pay. Rosalie had never heard of Bella doing either, so she would easily accept the terms for Emmett. I know that he will happily accept your terms. The terms are more favorable than a life debt, as I have been slacking on growing my hoard. Now that I have claimed Carlisle's possessions, I will use his money to buy some things to add to my collection, Bella said. I know for a fact that he is extremely wealthy. You would probably have to have one of your people help you claim everything, as most of it is managed through computers. Rosalie knew her mate had little patience for anything technological and would need help claiming Carlisle's bank accounts. Then when this is over we should go to Paris. I know you enjoy the stores there and I think it fitting for you to spend Carlisle's money. Bella hadn't taken Rosalie on a shopping spree in decades. After everything that had happened recently, she deserved it. You're taking me shopping? Rosalie squealed in happiness when Bella nodded. If she said she was taking Rosalie shopping, Rosalie knew that her maid would spare no expense to make sure Rosalie had a great time. That meant they would be able to go on human date. Rosalie didn't mind that Bella enjoyed her solitude, but it was nice to be able to spend some time enjoying civilization every once in a while. Bella had already compromised a lot for Rosalie's comfort by buying her many mansions and villas all over the world so they would have a private place to stay when they traveled. Bella even bought Rosalie a private yacht so that they could enjoy time in the water. Although it pains me to spend the money, you deserve it after dealing with all this, and I had been planning to add to my hoard, and with Emmett's payment it would differ the cost. Bella told her. Rosalie did know that it pained Bella to spend any kind of money. It was ingrained in dragons to hold on to their wealth, and the fact that Bella went against her natural instincts to make Rosalie happy made Rosalie feel beyond loved. Paris has some very exclusive jewelry, you could find something for yourself. I will look when we get there. Bella would like to get Rosalie some new jewelry. Now that it was known they were mates, Rosalie could flaunt her wealth. It was almost an insult to dragon culture that the queen's consort didn't show off their hoard. I'm so excited. I wish we could leave now, Rosalie said. We could if you really wanted to. Bella would actually prefer it. Yes, she would miss out on eating some vampire, but it would be nice to be done dealing with all these people. Rosalie shook her head sadly. No matter how much I want, it isn't the right thing to do. You and your morals. I suppose that's what makes us a good match. All of yours make up for the lack of mine. Bella kissed Rosalie softly. Let's get going. I'm sure someone is going to come knocking again. You're probably right, Rosalie said, finishing putting on her clothes. She knew that staying and helping everyone was the right thing to do, but now that Bella had promised her Paris, it was hard to remember why. At least her maid was willing to stay awake. Rosalie had expected Bella to deal with the threat and go right back to her keep. Hopefully dealing with the queens would be uneventful, because Rosalie knew if Bella got angry enough she wouldn't want to deal with anyone. That would mean their shopping trip would be cancelled. If that happened, Rosalie would just have killed everyone herself. Hello Bella. Rosalie. Tanya greeted the pair when they exited the house. While they had been occupied, the rest of the group had decided that Tanya would take the lead for them, as she was the one Bella was familiar with. Well, the one Bella was familiar with that she didn't want to eat, as it was obvious Bella knew about each of Rosalie's coven mates. 3 of those coven mates being the ones that Rosalie had dismantled and were put in different rooms in the house. Tanya was glad that even though they had to listen Rosalie and Bella being intimate, the soundproof on the 3 different rooms they put Carlisle, Edward and Esme in was working. That being something she found out when going to check on each of them, finding them all to be screaming. It made Tanya wonder if Rosalie and Bella were actually just that loud. By the satisfied expression Rosalie had on her face, Tanya came to the conclusion that the soundproofing was just fine, and Rosalie was extremely lucky to have such a passionate mate. Hi guys. Rosalie greeted the group. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but we didn't want you to be rushed if you had things to do before the queens came, Tanya told them. Rosalie waved off the apology. We aren't mad. That being said, is there anything you need our help with? Tanya was relieved that Rosalie wasn't upset with them. If she or Bella weren't happy, then the queens would be the least of their worries. We don't have anything we need to do. We are just planning on going to go swimming for a few hours and coming back to rest, Rosalie said. Where are you going swimming? Emmett asked. Bella wants to swim in the ocean, so we are going on the reservation, Rosalie told him. What about the wolves? Rachel didn't know if the wolves would accept Bella and Rosalie going on their land. You think I fear those mutts? Bella laughed at the very idea. Tanya flinched at the sound of that laugh. Bella wasn't a jovial woman, and her laughing usually meant that she was going to beat someone's ass. No one thinks that. My love, you have to remember these people aren't used to your ways. Like with Carlisle, they don't know the old laws, Rosalie reminded Bella. I guess I should give them a proper lesson then, Bella offered. That's not necessary. Rosalie quickly shut that down. Although Bella would enjoy it, it wouldn't be right for Bella to fight all the vampires in the clearing just to show them she was the top predator. They already knew it by now. You promised to take me swimming. Maybe another time then. Bella enjoyed the way each vampire she looked at refused to make eye contact. It seemed her and Rosalie's show of power proved why they should be feared. Let's worry about that when the queens come. You know that you will have all the opportunities you want to show off when they arrive. Rosalie knew that even though the queens were scared of Bella, some their guards weren't bright enough to stay their hand and would likely try an attack. Bella had told her it happened every time she interacted with them. Rosalie knew Bella most likely egged them on, but didn't blame her. Her maid loved to fight. Who better to fight than a vampire who was relatively strong that Bella would enjoy eating after she killed them? Very well, let us go deal with these wolves. I wish to watch the sunset over the ocean with you. Bella held out her hand for Rosalie. Rosalie happily took it. Bella might be eternally grumpy, but she was known to be romantic, and what could be more romantic than watching the sun set over the ocean? That sounds perfect. We will let you know if anything happens, Tanya called after them. She was surprised to hear Bella's request, as she didn't think the dragon cared about sunsets. Then again, all Tanya knew about Rosalie and Bella's relationship was that they had loud sex. Maybe Bella was quite romantic. Tanya quickly dismissed that Bella's idea of romance was problem bringing Rosalie the heads of her enemies. Bella mentioned she had a room full, so it was easy to believe that would be her romantic gesture. Do you think they will accept that the treaty they had with Carlisle is no more? Rosalie asked Bella as they slowly walked through the woods. Bella shrugged. You know them better than I do. True, but all I know is from the ones that defected and are at the house with the vampires, Rosalie said. Why did they defect? Bella asked. When Jessica got pregnant and the wolves found out, they decided that the baby was going to be a monster and needed to be killed. Rosalie began, only to cut off by Bella. It's a hybrid, not an immortal child. Why would it need to be killed? Bella didn't understand any of the people Rosalie associated with. Well, none of us knew anything about hybrids before it was conceived. Even Edward, Carlisle and Alice wanted to kill it. Even though Rosalie didn't really like Jessica, she wasn't about to let her baby be killed. Even if it was an unknown. What did that man do while he lived in the castle? Bella would have expected at least Carlisle to know about hybrids. I honestly don't even think the queens know about hybrids. I'm not surprised you do though. Rosalie figured if anyone would know, it would someone who lived as long as Bella did. I should be surprised, but the queens are young, as is their rule. I doubt they have any tones on the true history of vampires, Bella said. I know they don't, as no one truly knows how vampires were created. Rosalie and Bella never really talked about vampires too much because Bella didn't care about them, and it seemed to irritate her mate anytime one was talked about. Of course people know how they were created. You humans have no respect for preserving history. Once you learned to write, you stopped believing anything was true unless it was written down, Bella grumbled. I have to agree with you on that. Rosalie wouldn't believe anything she was told unless there was proven research that was presented to her that she could see. She wouldn't trust anything that was just told to her. One day, my love, you and I are going to speak to my clan's historian. She will tell you everything you want to know about vampires. I bet by the time you finish talking to her you will be the leading expert on vampires, Bella said. So wait, does that mean you know how vampires were created? Rosalie never really thought to ask Bella. It was blood, that disease. How it came to be I don't think anyone knows, but then again most diseases have unknown origins. It first started out in a remote village in what you call Switzerland, and the initial way to spread it was exactly like the HIV. Through blood or sex. It turned the first victims into mindless beasts who craved the flesh of others. After many attempts at curing it, it changed the makeup of the disease. The first big change was it hardened their bodies into what a normal modern vampire body today is, Bella explained. How did they contain them if they were still mindless beasts? Rosalie asked, totally enraptured with the story. She couldn't believe that humans in their stupidity changed a blood disease into creating a species that survived by killing them. At first they couldn't. That's when the humans reached out to others to help them with the problem. I was one of the people they asked for help, Bella told her. How could you not have told me you were involved in the creation of vampires? Rosalie figured that at some point Bella would have brought it up. Bella shrugged. You never asked. You are so lucky I love you, because if I didn't I would throttle you right now, Rosalie threatened. My love, there is no need for violence outside of the bedroom. Bella was somewhat worried about Rosalie's threat. She would never raise a hand to her love, but a mad Rosalie was something she didn't want to deal with. Rosalie kissed her on the cheek. So how did you help them? Well, I asked them to bring one of the creatures to me, Bella said, picking her story back up. When they explained they couldn't keep one restrained long enough to deliver it, I took some of my guards and we went to the area that was infested. It was completely overwhelmed with the creatures. Myself and my guards captured 2 of them and we brought them back to the royal keep. While they were there I had my scholars study them, and they learned that even if torn limb from limb they could reassemble themselves, and the only sure way to kill one was fire. So the dragons were the ones who figured out how to kill vampires. Rosalie was surprised to hear that. Bella nodded. We took that information back to the humans who begged for our help in irradiating them. The problem was by the time we had returned they found a way to help keep the victims sane. I was of the opinion that we just kill all of them and be done with it, but the humans fought me. They said I didn't have the right to decide as they weren't my people. I was young then and more naive. I saw the good in people. Not only I regretted my decision to back down, but so did the humans. What happened? Rosalie had never heard Bella say she regretted anything. What happened was after the victims turned into what we consider modern vampires, they started their own society. That doesn't seem like it was a bad idea because in theory it wasn't. If only the vampires had been peaceful and left the other species alone they would have been respected, but they were anything but peaceful. They started by enslaving the humans. Bella told her. Vampires enslaved humans. Rosalie knew that the Romanians wanted to, but they hadn't even gotten close to achieving their goal. That was their first mistake. They let the fact that they controlled the humans give them the false belief they were the superior species. It started out small. They would attack different shifter groups. Small ones at first before they made the fatal mistake of breaking into a dragon's keep and destroying her 3 eggs while she was hunting. Bella said. Rosalie gasped. Vampires killed baby dragons. After finding out I was enraged. Bella said. Oh Bella. Rosalie couldn't even imagine how much that affected her mate. Bella probably blamed herself for letting it happen. Her mate may be gruff and prickly, but Bella cared about her people. Cared enough that she would lay her life down to protect them. I rounded up my generals and gave the order to kill any vampire they came across. Bella almost smiled thinking of all the vampires that had lost their lives at her hand after she gave her order. If you gave the order to kill them all, how are there still vampires? Rosalie knew if Bella said to kill them then she wouldn't rest until they were dead. When I was searching out the different communities I came upon one that was different from the others. They didn't keep any humans captive. They lived in nice huts and took care of their lands. If it weren't for the fact that I knew they were vampires I would have thought it was just a normal human village. I don't know why, but that made me pause. I spoke to the group finding out that there was 2 mated couples living there. One had been a human slave that the vampire freed, and with the other ones decided to try living a peaceful life. Bella told her. Of course a mated couple would make you stop. Rosalie knew dragons respected the mate bond over all other. They went out their way to not kill mates. Not that wouldn't kill a mate, they just didn't like to. Yes, well, after speaking to them I decided that they would be left alone. I put out a new order that all vampires were to be tried in front of my court. I figured it would be shame to kill them off if there was proof that they could exist peacefully with others. It was during those proceedings that Bella discovered how good vampire tasted. So it was by your will alone that vampires still exist. Rosalie now understood Bella's hatred of vampires. Not only were they menaces when they came into the world, but they had the audacity to destroy dragon eggs. Yes, and that is still true to this day, Bella said. I suppose if you really wanted to you could kill off all the vampires in the world, couldn't you? Rosalie knew her mate was powerful, but it never really clicked in her head until this moment that the fate of the world rested in Bella's hands. If she decided all life should cease she could easily kill off every other living being in the world. Rosalie was embarrassed by how turned on that thought made her. Then again her mate's power was quite the aphrodisiac. I would gladly do it, but I know you would probably stop me. Bella's body count had been entirely too low ever since she met Rosalie, in her opinion. The vampire didn't let her have fun like she used to. Bella had to beg to even eat a vampire's limbs, whereas before she would just have one of her guards bring a few for her snack on. It's the right thing to do. Rosalie reminded her. Are you going to stop me from killing the wolves? Bella asked. Let's see how they react to us first. I predict that death is in the future though. Rosalie told her, sighing at the small smile Bella was sorting. On a normal person it would be a sign of being content, but on the dragon it was the equivalent of a toothy grin. She knew that some of the boys they were going to be meeting with were probably going to die, and she had mixed feelings about it. She honestly didn't care if Bella killed anybody, she just didn't want it to be someone Rosalie considered innocent. To her the wolves were innocent because of their lack of knowledge. They were isolated from the rest of the supernatural world and definitely didn't know about any other shifter groups. Making her way to the line with Bella, Rosalie hoped that the wolves would give in easily, because if they were to challenge her love there was nothing Rosalie could do to stop Bella from accepting it. Now let's try this again, Bella said as she and Rosalie stood on the treaty line facing off against 12 wolves and their alpha, who was in his human form. She expected to be met with such force as the wolves had probably been told of what happened with Carlisle, Edward and Esme. Bella was actually surprised they hadn't attacked, as it was obvious they wanted to, judging from the snarling and growling they were doing. "What do you want from us?" Sam asked. Jacob had told him all about what Rosalie and Bella had done to the Cullens, and he didn't want to fight them if he didn't have it. He would give the order if it was necessary, but he hoped they could talk things out. "As I told you before, the treaty you had with Carlisle is now void. This is my territory now, and you will have to make a new one with me," Bella told him. "We have no interest in making a new treaty," Sam said. Bella narrowed her eyes at Sam. "I don't care about your interests. They mean nothing to me. A new treaty will be made. This is our land, we decide what rules apply to it. That means the treaty we made with Carlisle stands, and your people will not be allowed here." Sam may have thought this woman was dangerous, but he wasn't going to let her dictate what happened on his people's land. "Little boy, I think you have the wrong idea here," Bella told him. Sam growled. "I am not a little boy. I am the alpha of this pack. Well, almighty alpha, I'm here to tell that from now on myself and Rosalie will be visiting your sacred lands whenever we like." Bella smirked, seeing the rage come over the boy's face. "If you step 1 foot across the treaty line, then we will be forced to kill you," Sam threatened. Bella laughed. "You think you could kill either of us? You may be strong, but we outnumber you. You are no match for us." Sam knew that if it came to a fight, some of members of his pack would get hurt, but it was their duty to protect their tribe. "My love would like to take the first step, or do want me to do it?" Bella asked Rosalie. Rosalie had hoped the wolves would be smart and work things out with Bella, but it seemed that wasn't going to happen. "I think that we should take the step together." "Wonderful idea." Bella took Rosalie's hand in her own, and they both stepped over the invisible line separating the reservation from the Cullens. As soon as their feet landed, Sam exploded into a wolf and lunged at them. Bella dropped Rosalie's hand and swung her fist, catching Sam in the jaw so hard that his body was flung into a tree, where it slumped down to the ground. That seemed to upset the rest of the wolves, who began an unorganized attack on both Bella and Rosalie. "If you stand down, we can talk this out." Rosalie didn't think the wolves would actually stop, but it made her feel better knowing that she at least tried to de-escalate the situation with words. As she predicted, none of the wolves stopped, and she was forced to fend off 4 of them that attacked at once. Kicking one away from her, she then punched one in the side, feeling its ribs break from the hit. She threw another one away from her as she grabbed the last one left by the scruff of its neck and held it to eye level. She clamped its jaw shut to keep it from biting her. "I don't want to hurt. Stop trying to attack us." "It's not going to listen, love," Bella said as she flung a wolf in air by the tail. It was the last of the group, besides the one Rosalie was holding, that had been neutralized in some way. Its instincts are telling it to eliminate the threat to its pack. The only thing that could make it stop would be an alpha command. "Is there something you can do?" Rosalie asked. "There is, but before I do it, you need to be sure you want the responsibility of taking care of a wolf pack." Bella wouldn't be opposed to having a wolf pack at her disposal, but Rosalie had weird views of owning people. Rosalie thought about what it would mean to actually be in charge of a wolf pack. She wondered if it would be different than ruling over the dragons. What would that entail? They would no longer answer to their alpha, and all their loyalty would be to us. It would be up to us to make all the decisions concerning their lives. They would have to ask us before they did anything, from leaving their lands to dealing with threats, Bella explained. "Do it." Rosalie wasn't that comfortable with controlling the pack, but the alternative would be to kill them all, and she would rather the boys had a chance live, because she had no doubt Bella would kill every one of them if they didn't stop fighting. "As you wish." Bella walked to Sam and rolled his body over. He growled weakly at her and made pitiful attempts to bite her. Forcing him to make eye contact, Bella pushed her will on him until he whimpered and offered his neck to her. In a voice laced with the alpha command, she ordered, "Shift." "Are they going to be all right?" Rosalie asked as she watched Sam and the other wolves transform back into their human form. The one she had been holding looked like he wasn't even old enough to shave. She was happy that she hadn't hurt him, because she would have felt horrible for being responsible for beating up a child. "They will be fine," Bella assured her. She then turned her attention to the wolves. "I want you to collect the wounded and bring them to your healer. My love and I are going to go swimming, and after we are done we will visit your elders and speak to them." Do you want to speak to them first? Rosalie figured that explaining what had happened to the tribe was more important than going swimming. Bella shook her head. They can wait. I want to go swimming. All right. Rosalie would follow Bella's lead, and if she didn't think it was important to speak to the elders right away, then Rosalie didn't either. Now get going. Bella ordered the wolves. Yes, Alpha. Sam mumbled, feeling utterly defeated. He was in extreme pain from the hit he took and could already see the bruising forming on his skin. That was the least of his worries. Now he had to go back to the reservation and tell the elders that the pack was no longer under their control. Come, my love, let's go before the sun sets. Bella held out her hand for Rosalie to take. Rosalie took it in her own, and hand in hand they walked towards the beach. She waited until they could no longer be heard by the wolves to speak. What are you going to do with them? I think you mean what are we going to do with them? Bella corrected her. What are our options? Rosalie asked. Well, we could just leave them here and have them continue to protect their lands if you didn't want to be bothered with them, or we could bring them to the royal keep and loan them out to our people if they needed them for something, Bella said. Rosalie didn't like the idea of giving them to dragons to use. I think that leaving them here to protect their tribe would make them the happiest. If we leave them here, then they will have to able to contact us, meaning that you will be in charge of them. Bella would prefer to take them to Royal Keep, but if Rosalie wanted them to stay on the reservation, then Bella would allow it. I don't mind. Rosalie didn't think it would be that bad being in charge of the wolves. They probably wouldn't really need much attention and would be fine on their own. What are you going to say to their elders? I am going to explain that you are now in charge and that they will all answer to you from now on. Bella was giving Rosalie the responsibility of dealing with the tribe because she didn't want to be bothered by them. I don't think they will like having to answer to a vampire. Rosalie was positive they wouldn't want to be told what to do by the very thing they believed they were created to kill. If they give us problems, then we will send a few of the guards to take care of them. I'm sure by the time they finish, not only the elders but the wolves will be more than happy to do what you say, Bella said. Let's hold off on calling in the guard. Rosalie didn't want anyone to die, and if the guard got involved, then it would be guaranteed that many would. If that's what you want. Bella would follow Rosalie's lead. What I want is to go swimming with you before the queens come. We can worry about the wolves when we're done, Rosalie said. Let's hope this thing with the queens doesn't take too long. I would like to collect my payment from Emmett so that we can travel before I go back to sleep. Bella was tired but wanted to spend some time with Rosalie before she was forced to go back to her keep to continue her rest. How are you going to deal with Carlisle's horde? Rosalie asked. I'm going to have the guards come and collect everything, Bella told her. Good, if they take care of that we can leave as soon as we want. Rosalie would just have to put some pressure on Emmett to pay Bella quickly because she knew that Bella wouldn't leave without being paid. Then we are off to Paris. Bella wasn't that excited to be amongst humans, but she knew it would make Rosalie happy, and making Rosalie happy was her main purpose in life. Then we are off to Paris. Rosalie smiled as she thought about their trip. She had already made plans to force Bella to take her to Eiffel Tower at night so Rosalie could fulfill her wish to have the cheesy romantic kiss all the humans wanted when they got to the top. Do you want to jump off the cliffs? Bella asked when they made it to the beach. Definitely. Rosalie pulled Bella by the hand to lead her to the highest point. She hadn't been cliff diving in a long time and was excited to do it again. Rosalie was happy they were taking a moment to enjoy themselves because she knew once they left the water they would be forced to deal with the many problems that needed to be taken care of, like the wolves. Then they had to deal with putting Carlisle, Esme and Edward back together, which Rosalie was sure would cause a bunch of new problems, and finally they had to deal with the queens. Rosalie wasn't worried about her or Bella's safety. She wasn't even worried about Tanya, Emmett and Rachel. Her worry stemmed from who the queens would blame for everything. She didn't want the vampires that came to help to get hurt, but she wasn't going to ask Bella to save them. Hopefully the queens would focus on Carlisle, Edward and Esme. She could worry about that later. Now she was going to enjoy looking at her mate in a bikini and jump off cliffs. Some rest could wait. Did you have a nice time swimming? Tanya asked Rosalie and Bella when the pair walked up to the Cullen home where all the vampires except for Carlisle, Esme, Edward and Jessica were gathered. Even though no one said it out loud, they had all been waiting for Rosalie and Bella to return from dealing with wolves. It was obvious that something happened as the wolves that were hanging around Jessica and the child had left them saying they needed to deal with an emergency on the reservation. The entire group knew that emergency was likely due to Bella and Rosalie. They had been gone for a few hours, and as the other wolves hadn't returned in that time, everyone was curious to know what transpired. We had a lovely time. They have high cliffs that we were able to dive off of, and we were able to watch the sunset like we wanted. Rosalie wished they could have stayed longer, but there were things to do. You went cliff diving. Emmett perked up hearing that. Rosalie nodded. The cliffs there are high enough that you actually feel the drop as you're falling. Do you think we could go? Kate was interested in cliff diving. She hadn't done that in decades. That is up to Rosalie, as she is the one who owns the territory, Bella said. What do you mean Rosalie owns the territory? Rachel asked. The wolves refused to form a new treaty and decided to challenge us. The result of that challenge was Bella taking over as their alpha and leaving me in charge of the pack, Rosalie told her. Wait, Bella is their alpha now? Emmett didn't understand how that worked. She forced her will onto Sam until he submitted, causing his alpha status to transfer to her. She now has the same control over them that Sam did, Rosalie explained. Fuck. Kate mumbled. How is it you were able to do that? Eliezer asked, not being able to stop himself. Bella bared her teeth at him. Would you like a demonstration? No demonstrations are needed. Rosalie quickly put a stop to that. She didn't need Bella taking control of a bunch of vampires. Not that Rosalie knew if she could. She would ask her mate later about it. You are right. We will have our hands full with the group of puppies you decided to adopt. No use picking up any more strays, Bella said. So if you are in charge of them, what are you going to make them do? Tanya wondered if Bella was going to bring them back to her keep. I have decided to let them keep doing what they were being, protecting their lands and keeping their people safe. Rosalie didn't want to force the pack to abandon their home. That's very kind of you. Carmen was happy it was Rosalie who took over the pack. Anyone else would have used them for their own purpose, not taking into consideration what they wanted. How do the elders feel about all this? Rachel asked. Bella scoffed, thinking about them. Those weak fools. They of course were unhappy and tried to make a bunch of demands, Rosalie said. I bet that went well, Kate said sarcastically. It did not. One of them got so pissed off he tried to attack Bella. It was when the boys shifted and moved to protect Bella that he backed off. Bella was nice enough not to kill him. Rosalie had actually been surprised that Bella didn't. I would never destroy any of your possessions, Bella told her. Tanya winced hearing that. She knew dragon culture but wasn't that comfortable with people owning other people. I'm glad it all worked out for you. So we can go swimming in the ocean then? Emmett asked, getting back to the original topic. I'll take you the first time so that the wolves won't try and fight you, Rosalie said. Yes. Emmett cheered. Now that you are both back, we should discuss what we are going to do when the queens get here in a few hours. Tanya wanted everyone on the same page before the royals came. Do you need me for this? Bella asked, was tired of dealing with people and wanted time to herself. She would prefer Rosalie be with her, but her mate had responsibilities to take care of. No, I'll come find you when I'm done. Rosalie would like Bella to stay with her but knew that the dragon was already irritated from having to deal with the wolves. Making her to deal with the vampires would just push her over the edge, and Bella would probably kill someone. I'll be on the roof. Bella gave Rosalie a kiss before making her way to the roof. Shouldn't she be here to help plan? Carmen would think that Bella was going to be essential to helping with the queens. She will follow my lead on what we decide, Rosalie told her. Now we need to decide what we want to do. Eliezer was surprised that Rosalie had so much sway over Bella. He had assumed that Bella was the more dominant in the relationship but was learning that Bella deferred to Rosalie more often than not. What are our options? Amen asked. We don't have many. Even if we plead our case, the queens won't take kindly to us coming together like this. They will see it as us trying to overthrow them. Tanya fully expected some of the vampires gathered to be killed before the issue was resolved. Fucking Carlisle. Garrett was not at all happy to be in this situation. I still say we let Bella eat him. Rachel would love to watch it happen. Why don't we just hand him, Edward and Esme, over to the queens? Kate suggested. Siobhan easily picked up what Kate was implying. That's a good idea. We can tell them all that's transpired and hand over the three of them as the ones responsible. It's true. We wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for them, Maggie said. Well, Edward and Carlisle, Emmett corrected. We can let the queens decide Esme's guilt. Senna figured it would be better to give all three of them to the queens. It would show they weren't trying to protect anyone other than the child. Who should we have speak for our group? Vladimir wasn't pleased that he and his brother weren't going to get a chance to fight the Volturi. It made him want to kill Carlisle himself for putting them back on the Queen's radar. I think Rosalie should do it. Tanya thought as Bella's mate Rosalie would make the Queens pause long enough for them to plead their case. I don't know. Rosalie didn't want that responsibility. I think it should be Rosalie too. Kate was thinking the same thing as Tanya. If what her sister said was true, then Rosalie having Bella backing her would make the Queens go along with anything Rosalie said. Why Rosalie? Amon wasn't opposed to it, he just wanted to make sure they were making the right choice. Because she has Bella's backing, Rachel said. Emmett had told her all about his conversation with Rosalie, and if her sister promised they would be safe, then Rachel believed her. What does Bella's backing have to do with the Queens? Liam asked. The Queens know Bella and respect her. That being the case, they would listen to Rosalie, Tanya explained. Bella has a relationship with the Queens. Carmen wondered why that hadn't been brought up yet. They have known each other ever since the Queens came to power, Rosalie told her. Why is it we never came across Bella then? Vladimir asked. She probably didn't have any need to talk to you. Rosalie wasn't surprised that Bella never met the Romanians. The only reason she met the Queens was because some vampires broke into one of her people's keep and killed them during their slumber. Bella had been enraged and began killing any vampires she could find, looking for the culprits. Instead of trying to appease Bella, the Queen sent an army to kill her. After killing the army and putting a huge dent in the vampire population, the Queens were all too happy to hand over the vampires that had killed the dragon. They were lucky that Bella was satisfied by that and didn't demand anything else from them. If being Bella's maid makes the Queens listen, then Rosalie is the perfect person to speak for us. Garrett was feeling a little better about their odds now. I agree. Safrina said, the rest of the group voicing their agreement. Okay, so our plan is to have Rosalie tell the Queens what has happened since we got here. She will then tell them that it was Carlisle and Edward that put us in this situation, and we will happily hand them over. Tanya felt like this plan would work. What about Irina? Carmen asked. Don't worry about Irina. She will be perfectly fine, Rosalie promised. Not that I doubt you, but how could that be? Eleazar couldn't see any way Irina would be making it out of this alive. Tanya made a deal with Bella that ensures her safety, Rosalie told him. What kind of deal? Carmen was of the same thought as her mate. She didn't think anything could save Irina. That's between Bella and myself. Tanya didn't anyone knowing the deal she made with Bella. She feared that if the others found out, they would try and make their own deals. Tanya knew Bella would get pissed being asked and most likely decide not to help Irina. I see. Carmen would let it go for now but speak to her coven leader about it in private. When should we put those three idiots back together? Kate asked. Should we put them back together? Rachel didn't think they needed to be whole to hand them over to the Queens. I think we should, so we don't have to keep track of all their limbs. That, and it's not like they are any kind of threat to us. Emmett wasn't worried about the three of them being able to do anything. Rosalie had already proven that she was more than capable of dealing with them, and even if she couldn't, they had Bella and the rest of the group who could. I agree with Emmett. Not only are they not a threat, but I have no doubt that they will seal their own fate with the Queens if they had full use of their bodies. Tanya knew that if they were given the chance, Edward and Carlisle would pick a fight with the Queens, and that would just help the rest of them prove their case that they wanted no involvement in the duo's plans. True, those idiots will likely pick a fight if things don't go their way, and with Bella's relationship with the Queens, it's not going to, Kate said. I can't wait to see their faces when the Queens don't side with them against Bella. Rachel was sure that Edward and Carlisle were going to put on quite a show, and she looking forward to watching them try and figure out a way to get the Queens on their side. I can't wait to see how they are going to deal with this without Edward's gift. Emmett knew that the pair always relied on Edward during these kind of situations, and not being able to read anyone's mind would put a big damper on their plans. Kate laughed thinking about all the fumbling the pair were going to do trying to get out of being punished. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Those idiots have no chance of bullshitting their way out this because they haven't had a chance to talk to each other about what is going to happen now that we all went against them. I'm feeling a lot better about our chances now, Amun said. How about the child though? Karchiri asked. The child will be fine. Bella has knowledge of hybrids and will explain it to the queens if there is a problem, Rosalie told her. Why didn't we send Bella straight to the queens then? Siobhan would have thought that would stop all of this from happening. The queens announced their intentions. It wouldn't have mattered if Bella interfered. We formed a group that has been training to fight them. Someone was going to be held responsible. Bella may be my mate, but she wouldn't have stopped the queens from getting their justice. Rosalie didn't hold that against Bella. She knew her mate thought that stopping the queens from enforcing the laws was overstepping her bounds because vampires weren't her people. Even if your own coven was in danger, Vladimir asked, it wouldn't matter. Bella would protect me and leave everyone else to fend for themselves. Rosalie wasn't surprised by the looks she was getting from that statement. Bella is the ruler of her people. For her to interfere with another ruler punishing laws breakers isn't something she would ever do. But she's protecting Irina, Carmen said. The only reason she is protecting Irina is because she knows that someone will be held responsible. I'm hoping that she will vouch for the rest of you as Carlisle and Edward are the ones responsible, but I won't ask her to. Rosalie wasn't going to ask Bella for anything else as her mate had gone above and beyond already. Why won't you ask her? Liam didn't see the big deal for Rosalie to ask her mate for help. Bella's kind don't do things for free even if I'm the one who's asking, and the price for her help is very steep, Rosalie told them. How steep? Amun asked. At the very least you would owe her a life debt, but in this situation it would a life debt plus a large offering. Rosalie knew that Bella would ask a lot if she helped anyone else in the group, if she even would be willing to, which Rosalie didn't think she would do. Let's not worry about Bella's help right now. I think we have a solid plan, and giving them Carlisle and Edward will appease them, Tanya said, trying to change the subject. She really didn't want anyone approaching Bella. Let's put them back together right before we leave to meet with the queens, Kate said. Are the wolves going to be joining us? Siobhan would speak to her coven later about what they would be willing to give to gain Bella's protection. She was the opinion that the plan would work but didn't want to dismiss either of their preferences. No, they are going to be protecting their people in case any of the random vampires showing up try and come on their land. Rosalie wasn't going to involve the wolves. They would be needed to make sure no red-eyed vampires attack the tribe. That's a good idea, Emmett said. That being said, is there anything else left to discuss? Tanya asked, earning head shakes and negatives from the group. Good, then we will meet back up here in 2 hours to put Carlisle and the others back together and then leave to meet the queens. I'm going to go spend some time with Bella. Rosalie wanted to have a few moments alone with her mate before everything went down. We will let you know if anything else needs your attention, Tanya told her. Of course. Rosalie didn't think anything else would need her attention, but with the way this whole situation had been playing out, there was likely to be more drama before they met the queens. As she made her way to the roof, Rosalie sighed. Even though staying was the right thing to do, she wished she had taken Bella's offer and the pair leave everyone on their own. They could be in Paris right now sharing a kiss on top of the Eiffel Tower, but instead they had to deal with an army coming to kill them. It was just another reason that Rosalie needed out of the Cullens. She corrected the thought. She needed out of the Cullens if by some slim chance Carlisle and Edward were allowed to go free, because there was no way in hell she was going to be in any coven with those two as members. Let me go now and I will tell the queens to have mercy on you, Edward said, causing Kate to laugh. She was leading him to the field with the others to meet the queens. Eleazar was escorting Carlisle and Carmen was in charge of Esme. The three had tried to put up a fight but were easily overpowered. Even in their defeat, Kate thought they looked a little too smug for the situation they found themselves in. Then again, they did truly believe that the queens would come to their defense. She was looking forward to seeing the looks on their faces when they realized they were on their own. Yeah, I don't think you have enough pull with the queens to save yourselves, let alone us, Emmett said as he took his place in the formation. They were lined up with Rosalie standing in front with the coven leaders and Garrett lined up behind her and the rest of the group behind them. It was decided that the three prisoners would be brought forward after Rosalie explained what was going The only one who was standing away from the group was Bella, who looked bored and completely over the entire situation. "The queens will have your heads once they find out how you have treated us," Carlyle told them. He knew that the queens would not be happy with the way the group had turned on him. "My love, can I rip his tongue out so I don't have to listen to him anymore?" Bella asked Rosalie. "How dare you?" was all Edward got out before Kate shocked him. Kate tightened her grip on him to keep him upright. "I think you should keep that mouth shut, or she is going to take yours first." "You can't treat my son like that," Carlyle screeched. "Carlyle, shut up. You will have your chance to embarrass yourself once the queens get here. Until then no one wants to hear you or Edward." Rosalie smiled when she caught the pleading expression Bella was giving her. "You can't rip his tongue out because he will need it to speak to the queens, which are here," Rachel said as a group of robed figures moved across the field towards them. Over 24 vampires wearing regular clothes moved to the side. Rachel realized that the queens had brought them as witnesses. Sulpicia stopped next to her mates a couple dozen yards in front of the vampires that came to challenge them. The original plan was to destroy all of them, but seeing Bella standing to the side made her pause. She hadn't known the dragon was going to be there or that she had any connection to the people they were going against. Knowing it would be wise to address her first, she bowed. "Hello, Your Majesty, we weren't expecting you to be here." "Yes, well, I am not going to interfere with your punishments," Bella told her. "Why are you here then?" Athenadora's voice cracked, causing the queen to be thankful she couldn't blush. The dragon was extremely terrifying, something that Athenadora found incredibly attractive. It was something her mates constantly teased her about because every time she was around the dragon, Athenadora acted like a schoolgirl with a crush. It was beyond embarrassing, and she hated being around Bella as much as she enjoyed it. "I am here to stop you from punishing the vampires in the clearing that I own," Bella said. "What vampires are those?" Didymu was trying very hard not to laugh at Athenadora but held back because of the seriousness of the situation. "Out of the Cullen Coven I claim Emmett, Rachel, and my mate Rosalie, of course." Bella pointed each of the vampires out to make sure the queens knew who she was talking about. "Mate." That caught Sulpicia's attention. She had not known that Bella was mated at all, let alone to a Cullen. If they had, they would have rethought this whole plan. Bella nodded. "Yes, Rosalie is my mate. Along with those three I am also claiming Tanya and Irina of the Denali Coven." "Me?" Tanya didn't understand why Bella would vouch for her. "You owe me a life debt. Because of that I will protect you as I do all my possessions," Bella explained. "Thank you." Tanya wasn't sure if she was completely comfortable being thought of like a possession, but knew that if Bella saw her as such she would be taken care of until the debt was called in. That made Tanya feel a lot better about this meeting. "We acknowledge your claim and no harm will come to those 5 vampires." Sulpicia was just happy that Bella wasn't preventing them from punishing the whole group. "Irina, come here." Bella ordered the blonde vampire standing to the side of the queens. "Do it, Irina." Tanya held her breath as she watched her sister cross the field, only exhaling when Irina took her place at Bella's side. "With that I have fulfilled my part of the deal. You may do as you see fit with the rest of them," Bella said as she led Irina further away from the group. She would stay and watch what happened just to make sure the people she claimed were safe, but she would not interfere otherwise. "Good, now let's get to why we are here." Athenadora was happy that they wouldn't be fighting Bella. They had learned their lesson the last time they sent an army after her, and she didn't want to make the same mistake again. "Yes, it has been reported that you have created an immortal child," Sulpicia said. "We have done no such thing," Rosalie told her. "We can see the child clinging to the young newborn." "How can you deny it?" Didymu asked. "That is not an immortal child. It's a hybrid. The newborn holding her became pregnant while human and gave birth to her before she was turned. Edward is the father," Rosalie explained. "We have never heard of such a thing before." Sulpicia wasn't going to call Rosalie a liar as it would anger Bella, but didn't know anything about hybrids. Bella has some experience with them and would be able to explain better. Rosalie knew that Bella didn't want to get involved, but they needed her for this part. Bella sighed when she noticed all the attention was on her. "Hybrids were popular in the beginning of your creation, as vampires were known to enslave humans and use them for their own pleasure. It fell out of practice after the first time I decimated your people because the vampires became wary of being involved with any other species for fear of my wrath." "I see." Athenadora hated how turned on she got from thoughts of Bella fighting a bunch vampires. If you knew the child was a hybrid, why did you form an army to fight us instead of coming to the castle to correct Irina's mistake? Sulpicia asked. At first we didn't know about hybrids. I only learned about them when I summoned Bella to come help. By then the damage was already done and you had already planned to come. We knew that a punishment would happen, and as we were all called here by Carlyle, we had been implicated. It was decided that we would stand together to plead our case because if we ran away it would make us look guilty, Rosalie told them. That is true, it would have. Sulpicia agreed. However, there is the fact that no one came to inform us of what had happened. Why is that? It was because of Carlyle and Edward. Carlyle called everyone here without telling them what he needed them for. None of them were happy about being put in this situation but agreed to stay as witness to the child's growth. As we didn't know about hybrids, it was the only way we figured we could prove our story, Rosalie explained. So you weren't planning to fight us? Athenadora asked. Rosalie shook her head. The only ones who were set on fighting was Edward and Carlyle. That was before they had run in with Bella and we had to subdue them. Now I'm not sure what they have planned. I can see that not only are Edward and Carlyle being restrained but Esme as well. Why is that? Sulpicia wanted to know why what she would consider Carlyle's allies had turned on him. Bring them forward. Tanya told Eleazar, Kate and Carmen. Let's go. Kate dragged Edward forward and threw him in front of the group, giving him the ability to speak now that she wasn't covering his mouth. How dare you treat us like this? Edward growled, rushing to Carlyle to make sure he was all right. I'm fine, are you? Carlyle didn't see any physical damage but wanted to make sure. Fine. Edward replied. Getting confirmation, Carlyle straightened up to his full height and addressed the queens. Your Majesties, a great injustice has been done against myself, my son and my mate that I request your help with. And what injustice would that be? Diddam asked. That thing. Carlyle pointed at Bella. Has not only removed Edward's gift but she has made false claims on my own property. Bella growled and made a move to Carlyle, grabbing him by the throat. She roared in his face. I made no false claim. You lost your rights after you challenged me. Let him go. Edward demanded as he punched Bella in the back of the head. Rosalie quickly grabbed a hold of Edward and tossed him back to Kate. She put her hand on Bella's shoulder and spoke softly, trying to de-escalate the situation. My love, you can't kill him. The queens need to decide their punishment first. I will come for you. Bella growled as she threw him to the ground and made her way over to where Irina was standing. More proof that animal drinkers are weak. He can't even able to protect himself against a pathetic shifter, Felix said as he laughed at Carlyle. He wasn't sure what Bella was, but it was obvious she wasn't a vampire. That meant she was a shifter. Watch your mouth, boy, Bella told him. What are you going to do about? Felix wasn't scared of the woman. Felix, shut up. Sulpicia hissed. Felix ignored the warning. Why should I shut up? It not like she would able to beat me in fight. Your Majesties, may I have permission to defend my honor against one of your guard members? Bella asked. Of course we would never stop you from defending your honor. Athenadora's voice was laced with excitement. This is going to be so good. Kate muttered as she watched Felix meet Bella in between the two groups. Shall I finish you off quickly or should I give the people a show? Felix moved as soon as he finished his question, intending to show off a bit before he killed her. Those plans were thwarted when he moved to punch Bella. The woman caught his fist and ripped off his arm. Screaming in pain, he watched in horror when she bit off a large part of his hand and ate it. Fuck yeah. Rachel finally got to see Bella eat more than a finger, and it was everything she hoped it would be. What the hell? Sulpicia was horrified watching Bella eat a member of her guard. Even when they were at war, Bella had never done such a thing. Again, there weren't many witnesses left to report if she did. When they had met in person, Bella usually fought whoever challenged her and gave them back to the queens to reassemble. This was something she was not expecting. Seeing Felix in trouble, Dimitri ran to his aid. I'm going to kill you. How many more do you think are going to join the fight? Emmett asked as he watched Bella punch Dimitri so hard he took out at least a mile's worth of trees from what he could estimate from the sound. Felix seemed to rally and made a move to tackle Bella, trying to use his weight advantage to take her down. Bella simply stepped out the way, causing him to fall. She then stomped her foot down so hard on his spine it severed his torso from the rest of his body. Holy shit. Did you see that? Kate couldn't believe her eyes. Felix was screaming his head off, flapping his arms around trying to get to the bottom half of his body. Bella stopped him before he could by removing his head and tossing it to Rosalie. Another one for the collection? Rosalie asked nonchalantly as she caught the head. Yes, it will finish the row of black-haired men in the back of the room, Bella told her. She organizes her heads by hair color. Emmett really needed to see that room. Hair color and gender. Rosalie set Felix's head on the ground, fully expecting to have Dimitri's joining it soon. And he's back, Kate said when Dimitri ran out of the forest going directly for Bella. It seemed Bella was getting bored because instead of prolonging the fight she grabbed Dimitri by the throat and ripped his head off with her teeth. Kate smiled when Bella pulled away chewing. It was entertaining watching Bella eat vampires. Anyone else want to challenge me? Bella wasn't surprised when no one came forward. It was disappointing though because she was hoping for more than 2 vampires to eat. Collecting the body pieces she carried them back over to where a wide-eyed Irina was waiting and began eating the rest of Felix's arm. If she was going to be there she may as well get something out of it. Sulpicia cleared her throat of the discomfort that came with watching what had just happened. Anyway, you said that Edward and Carlyle were the ones who wanted to fight us. That's not true, Your Majesty. Edward hoped that after seeing Bella's display it would prove to the queens that Bella needed to die. Well, you know how to prove it. Sulpicia held out her hand in invitation. You would not take me at my word. Edward was beyond insulted that the queen would make him prove himself in such a way. You have never proven yourself trustworthy enough to take your word, Sulpicia told him. Carlyle put his hand on Edward's shoulder. Son, it will be fine. They will see the many crimes the others have committed once she sees your memories. True. Edward knew that he would be able to manipulate the queen even without his gift. He just had to focus on certain thoughts so she would ignore the other ones. Making his way across the clearing he took the queen's hand in his own. Sulpicia closed her eyes and concentrated. Edward's entire life flashed on the back of her eyelids to include him trying to convince not only his coven but Eleazar and Carmen that the only way to be free was to overthrow the queens. Opening her eyes she smirked. So you no longer have a gift? Yes, Your Majesty. Nat was something that I wish to speak to you about. With your permission I would like to come to the castle and research how to reverse what Bella did to me. Edward Said not at all worried about what the queen had seen. If she had noticed anything incriminating she would have killed him immediately. Bella took his gift. Didym had never heard of that being possible before. Sulpicia nodded. She did, and it was rather painful for young Edward. It is just more proof that Bella can't be trusted, because if she took my gift, what is to stop her from taking your own or the guards? Edward knew this was his chance to get the queens to side with him against Bella. What do you suggest we do to stop her? Sulpicia was interested in how Edward thought he would be able to stop Bella from doing anything. All you need to do is give the order, and with mine and Carlyle's help we could easily kill her and Rosalie, Edward told her. Athenadora laughed. You don't know what she is, do you? No, but if you do then you can tell us and it will help us defeat her, Edward Said. You think that myself or my mates would side with you against anyone, let alone Bella? Sulpicia asked. Edward nodded. It's well known your fondness for Carlyle, and as soon as I get my gift back I will be able to be a guard member just like you have always wanted. Who told you we wanted you for the guard? Didym and her mates had decided a long time ago that Edward wouldn't be good a fit for the guards. Athenadora would get irritated with him within minutes and most likely kill him. My gift is extremely powerful. Of course you want me for the guard. Edward Said like it was obvious. Your gift was powerful, you mean because you no longer have it, Athenadora reminded him. And with your help I can get it back, Edward pointed out again. What did you see in his mind, my love? Didym asked. She was tired of hearing Edward's nonsense. I saw that Edward has been planning with Carlyle to overthrow us. Sulpicia smiled when before Edward could even open his mouth to deny it Athenadora had her hand around his throat restraining him. That's not true. Carlyle wanted to go help his son, but if he got close the queens would capture him as well. If it's not true come here and take my hand, Sulpicia suggested. Why don't you take Bella's hand? Then you will see it is actually her that is the threat, not myself and Edward, Carlyle told her. Bella is only a threat to anyone who challenges her, Rosalie said, not able to stop from defending her mate. Bella was violent, but only when the situation called for it, and all the jabs at her character was pissing Rosalie off. Unlike you, she is honorable. Honorable? Carlyle scoffed at the very idea. Then why did she steal my property? Oh shit. Kate examined in glee as she watched Carlyle fly across the field into the line of guards standing near the Queens, knocking at least a dozen of them over. She hadn't even seen Bella move, but she was the one standing in the spot Carlyle had just stood. It made her wonder just how fast Bella was. I am no thief. Bella growled out, followed by an animalistic roar that shook the trees in its ferocity. And the next person who calls me such will be subjected to me eating them while their limbs are still attached. I'm here. The group heard a female voice call out before Alice, followed by Jasper. A dark-skinned man and dark-skinned woman raced out of the trees into the clearing. Alice. Emmett rushed to his sister and wrapped his arms around her, swinging her in a circle. Where have you been? Put me down and I'll explain everything, Alice told on him. Once on her feet, Alice took in everything going on. Furrowing her brow in confusion, she didn't understand anything that she was seeing. This isn't like my vision. What do you mean? Jasper asked. He was on full alert, ready to defend her if something happened. None of this is right. Edward isn't supposed to be with the Queens. Alice pointed to Bella. I don't even know who that is. Emmett looked to where Alice was pointing. That's Bella, Rosalie's mate. Rosalie has a mate. Alice had never heard of Rosalie having a mate. Yeah, Rosalie found her a year after she was turned, Emmett told her. Can we get back to what is going on? Rosalie was happy to see her sister but wanted to deal with the Queens. Oh yeah, Alice said, remembering where she was. The reason I left was to find proof that Renesmee will not become a threat as she grows. Well, of course not, she's a hybrid, Bella said. Wait, you knew? Alice asked in surprise. Bella has already cleared up that misunderstanding, Rosalie told her. Then why did I leave? Alice had been stressed from the moment she and Jasper left. To find out it was unnecessary was very upsetting. I think that's something you need to ask yourself later, Rosalie said. Yes, now we need to deal with Carlyle and Edward. This whole thing was getting out of hand and Athenadora just wanted to be done with it and go home. Bring Carlyle to me, Sulpicia ordered the guard holding him. What? No, you can't do this. I have done nothing wrong. Carlyle tried as hard as he could, but he couldn't free himself. We will see. Sulpicia grabbed the man's hand and closed her eyes to concentrate. Because of his longer lifespan, it took longer for the Queen to go through all of Carlyle's memories than it did Edward's. Once she done, she sighed. Oh Carlyle, I always had such high hopes for you. What did you see? Didymus asked. Although he initially wanted this to end peacefully, once Bella showed up that changed. He was planning on getting our help to kill her, and once we did, he and Edward were planning on killing us, Sulpicia told her. You truly believe you and your son would be able to overthrow us? Athenadora wasn't surprised by Edward thinking that, but thought Carlyle was a lot smarter. I never thought that. Carlyle tried to think of a way to get himself and Edward out of this situation. Bella is the one who talked about overthrowing you. She has been working with the whole group to take out the guard and kill you. Now it was Didymus's turn to laugh. If Bella wanted to overthrow us, she wouldn't have needed help. She would have just come to Italy and done it herself. She wouldn't have waited until we came to her. That just proves that she could do it at any time. We need to kill her, Edward chalked out. The only one who is going to die is you, Athenadora said. What are Esme's and Edward's mates' guilt? Didymus asked. They were against their plans and wanted no part of them, Sulpicia told her. Bring Esme and Edward's mate forward, Didymus ordered. You'll be fine, Rosalie assured Carmen. Once Esme was in front of the Queens, one of the guards took her from the prisoner. Carmen rushed back to her mate's side and kissed him softly. I'm fine. Now Esme, Jessica, you have two choices. Either you can die along with your mates, or we can have Chelsea break the mate bond you have with them. Didymus hated breaking bonds, but it was the only option as both men were going to die. Esme thought through what would happen if she broke her bond with Carlyle. She might have a chance to actually live a life free of being told what to eat. It would hurt not having a mate, but she had been owned by men her whole life. It would be nice to finally have some independence. I want the bond broken. What? Carlyle screeched. I do as well, Jessica said. As you wish. Didim motioned for Chelsea to step forward. Esme didn't feel anything at first, then suddenly it felt like her body was being torn into two. Falling to her knees, her screams of pain joined Jessica's. Just as she thought it was going to last forever, it stopped. Taking a shuddering breath, she took stock of herself, realizing that although she felt like something was missing, it wasn't debilitating. Thank you. You are free to go back to your group. Didim was happy the women chose to live. It would be a shame to kill them for someone else's actions. Carlisle and Edward of the Cullen Coven, you are both found guilty of treason. The punishment for this crime is death. Do you have any last words? Sulpicia asked. You can't do this. Edward tried to fight, but there was nothing he could do. I take that as a no. Athenadora ripped the boy's head from his shoulder and threw it and his body on the ground. Edward. Carlisle couldn't believe how all this turned out. Carlisle, any last words? Sulpicia asked. Please don't do this. Carlisle pleaded. Pitiful. Athenadora said as she ripped his head off as well. Your Majesties, may we have their heads and bodies? Rosalie knew that Bella would want to eat them and display their heads. Sulpicia held back a shudder, thinking about what was going to happen to those bodies. Yes, you can. Thank you. Rosalie was happy that Bella was given the chance to finally eat Carlisle and Edward like she had been wanting to do ever since Rosalie first told her about them. With that said, we will take our leave, but be warned, next time something happens and you don't inform us immediately, we will be not kind enough to let you walk away. Sulpicia was pleased by the way a few of the vampires refused to make eye contact with her. I'll get Carlisle and Edward's bodies. Rachel volunteered once the Volturi and their witnesses raced out of the clearing. You just want to watch Bella eat them, Emmett said. Rachel shrugged. Like you don't want to see it as well. True. Emmett did want to see Bella eat them. You guys grab them and meet the rest of us back at the house. Now that this is over, we should debrief, then everyone can get on their way. Rosalie told them, getting murmurs of agreement from the others. Rosalie grabbed the two heads at her side and made her over to Bella. She was beyond pleased with how everything had turned out. Not only were Carlisle and Edward dead, but they didn't lose anyone from their side. Plus Bella got 4 vampires to eat, which would put her in a very good mood, guaranteeing that she would be easier to talk into doing things once they got to Paris. Something that was hopefully going to happen soon. What happened to Esme's arm? Actually, what happened to Edward and Carlisle's arms as well? Alice asked Emmett and Rachel. Once the issue with the queens was taken care of, Alice wanted to know what she had missed while she and Jasper were off on their own mission to find another hybrid. A mission that was completely unnecessary because apparently Rosalie's maid knew all about them. Alice was pissed that she wasted all that time and worry over her family when Rosalie's mate could have cleared everything up right away. Rosalie having a maid and not telling her about it being another thing that pissed Alice off. Bella ate them. Rachel told her. What? Alice screeched. It was awesome. Rosalie fought all 3 of them by herself and beat the crap out of them. Once she was done, she gave Bella 1 arm from each of them. We didn't get to watch her eat them, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Emmett figured Bella would have eaten them as soon as she got the chance. Bella eats vampires? Alice asked. Well, yeah, she is doing it right now. Rachel pointed to the roof where Bella was sitting next to a pile of vampire parts, chewing on what seemed to be Edward's left leg. Alice looked at the scene in disbelief. Who even is Bella? She's Rosalie's mate. Emmett was pretty sure they already went over this. No, I mean, why haven't we heard about her? Alice had never seen Bella in a vision, but that wasn't surprising because Rosalie was mostly a blank spot to her. What was surprising was that Rosalie kept her a secret. Rachel shrugged. Rosalie said that she didn't tell us because Bella didn't want to be a part of our coven. From what we have witnessed, it's probably best she wasn't because she really doesn't like people. She attacked Carlisle just for trying to talk to her and has barely said a word to any of us, Emmett said. And those words were mostly threats, Rachel added. Still, shouldn't we have at least suspected Rosalie had a mate? Alice tried to think of any instances of Rosalie mentioning being mated. She had even offered to help Rosalie to find hers, but Rosalie had just said that if she found a mate it would happen naturally. I didn't have a clue. Emmett was just as in the dark as everyone else. Alice turned her attention to Rosalie as she approached the group. Rosalie, why didn't you tell us you had a mate? I didn't want Bella to be forced to interact with you. Something that would have happened because as soon as you found out you would want to meet her and you would pester me until I introduced you, Rosalie told her. She's got you there. Rachel knew that Alice wouldn't rest until she met Rosalie's mate. Well, you can introduce me now then, Alice said. Bella doesn't want to be bothered right now. She is happy and I want to keep her that way. Rosalie was over this whole situation and knew that Bella was as well. The last thing Rosalie wanted was for Alice and her overexcited self to piss Bella off. Can you at least tell us what she is? Alice was sure she wasn't a vampire because she had never heard of vampires eating other vampires. What she was though Alice couldn't figure out. What she is none of your business and it would be wise not to ask again, Rosalie said. Why can't we know? Jasper could tell Bella was dangerous and wasn't sure he wanted Alice around her. At least until he knew what she was. Bella's kind are not well known to exist. They like it that way and none of you are able to keep a secret. Especially you, Alice. Rosalie couldn't trust Alice with her phone number, let alone something important like Bella being a dragon. I'm a great secret keeper. Alice was offended Rosalie didn't think she was trustworthy. Emmett laughed. You are never able to keep a secret. All someone has to do is bribe you and you will give up the information. That's true, sweetheart. Jasper agreed. All right everybody, now that the queens are gone, why don't we talk about what else we need to do? That way we can all go on our way, Tanya said, getting the attention of all the vampires in the clearing. She wanted to leave before Bella's people came to collect Carlisle's property, but before they could they needed to speak with the other groups and find out what payment Bella wanted for her help. Do we think the queens are going to leave us alone? Garrett asked. I think so, Amen said. They seemed satisfied with how the meeting turned out. Safrina didn't think the queens were going to come after them. If anything, they were scared to upset Bella and were willing to do anything to make the whole confrontation go away. I doubt they would want to come after any of us for fear Bella would come to our aid. Siobhan had seen the hesitation the queens had when they saw Bella. It was obviously they didn't want anything to do with her. That's true, they were very uncomfortable when speaking to Bella. Vladimir was upset that Carlisle had screwed everything up so bad because knowing that Bella was an actual threat to the queens with her on their side, they would have been able to overthrow the Volturi. Then the Romanians could once again rule. That was something he was going to speak his brother about when they were alone. Bella's had some runs in with them that haven't turned out great for the queens. They try very hard not to cross paths with her, Rosalie told them. I guess that means we will be all right. Amen felt confident that his coven would be left for a very long time if the way the queens acted meant anything. As we have no other conflicts to deal with, my coven and I will take our leave. Senna wanted to go home because although they took a shine to the child, she missed the jungles and knew her sisters did as well. We will as well, Vladimir said. If you ever need us again, feel free to call on us. Siobhan wouldn't have offered if speaking to Carlisle, but knew that Rosalie would only reach out if there was real trouble. Not that Siobhan thought that Rosalie would ever need help. She had Bella after all. Thank you. Rosalie was surprised by the offer but would keep it in mind. Who knew what kind of trouble the others would get in that they might need help with. Goodbye, Amen said before he and his coven took off. Well, that was fun. Kate snarked once the other vampires, except for what was left of the Cullens, the two vampires Alice brought with her and the Denali had left. I had a good time. Not only did Rachel get to see Carlisle and Edward die, but she got to see Bella eat a bunch of vampires. Both of those things were highly entertaining to her. Can I ask what the hell happened? Irina wasn't sure what to make of any of that went on. She went from thinking her family was going to die to she was going to die, then finding herself owned by a random stranger that liked to eat vampires. None of it made sense to her. Yeah, I would like to know as well. I mean, Jasper and I really thought that finding Nathul was the only way to save us. We find out that Rosalie's mate, who no one has ever heard of, knew all about hybrids and could have prevented this from happening. Alice was beyond frustrated with the whole situation. Well, initially we didn't know anything about hybrids. It wasn't until Tanya asked me to ask Bella to save Irina did we find out. By then it was too late to stop anything because the queens were going to come no matter what, Rosalie told her. So Tanya knew about Bella then? Alice asked. I met Bella when I ran into Rosalie during my travels. She asked me not to say anything about her, Tanya said. Bella was also the one who made it so Tanya is immune to everyone's gifts. Emmett was planning on talking to Rosalie about having Bella help him once things settled down. Would Bella help the rest of us? Eleazar was interested in being protected from gifted vampires. Bella isn't inclined to help anyone else. She has already done enough. Rosalie wasn't going to let anyone even approach Bella, let alone ask her for anything. Yeah, she is the reason we are all safe. Kate had no illusions that if it weren't for the Queen's fear of Bella that everyone who had gathered with the Cullens would have been killed. That still doesn't explain anything about Bella, Alice said. All you need to know about Bella is that she is my mate and she doesn't like to talk to people, Rosalie told her. Speaking of talking to Bella, I need to know the price she expects to be paid for Irina's life. Tanya was not looking forward to that conversation, but it was necessary. What do you mean she expects to be paid for saving me? Irina asked. Bella doesn't do things for free. When Tanya requested her help, she agreed with the understanding that she would get some form of payment, Rosalie explained. We don't really have to pay her though, do we? Irina didn't think that Bella would really expect to be paid for saving her. If you don't pay her, she will kill you herself. Rosalie knew that Bella wouldn't hesitate to kill Irina if she reneged on the agreement. What the fuck? Irina exclaimed in shock. After going to the trouble to save my life, she would kill me if I didn't pay her for her efforts. Rosalie nodded. It's part of her culture. If you ask for a favor, you have to pay for whatever help you get. You should actually feel honored that Bella even came at all. She is the queen of her people and it is very rare for her to take care of things personally. It's what that honor is going to cost us that has me worried, Tanya said. I don't think you have to worry too much. Not only did she get 4 vampires to eat, but Irina didn't steal from her. Rosalie didn't think Bella would ask for something too outrageous. Tanya winced thinking about how close she came to being eaten by Bella. Do you think she would want to talk to us now? This is probably the best time to talk to her. Rosalie knew her mate went easier on people when she was well fed. Bella's moods usually corresponded with her hungry, and fact that Bella got to eat the people she killed would make her not ask for anything too outrageous from Irina. Tanya took a deep breath to rally some courage. Come on, let's get this over with. Are you guys going to be all right? Kate asked in concern. They will be fine, Rosalie told, made her way to the roof with the sisters following behind her. Once she got on top of the house, she made way over to Bella and gave her a gentle kiss. Hello, my love. Hello, darling. I see that almost everyone has left, Bella said. They have, and the Denali would like to leave as well, but before they do, Tanya needs to know what you want for your help with Irina, Rosalie told her. Bella took a bite of a forearm and thought about what she wanted from Tanya while she chewed. Swallowing, she spoke. Well, usually I would want a life debt. A life debt, Irina squeaked. However, Bella continued, ignoring Irina's interruption. I promised Rosalie that I would take her on a shopping trip. By gaining Carlisle's assets, that should offset some of the cost, but I have been slacking off on adding to my hoard. Emmett and Rachel are giving me their own offerings, but they aren't very large though. What would be an appropriate offering? Rosalie asked. $500 million in gold, silver and jewels, Bella said. Now it was Tanya's to squeak. $500 million. Since Rosalie and I are going on a trip, I will give you 90 days to pay. If you don't, then Irina's life is forfeit, Bella told them. I normally wouldn't interfere with your business, Bella, but they will need more than 90 days to be able to get that much stuff. With the advances in technology, it would be almost impossible for them to acquire even a quarter of that in 90 days without gaining attention. Rosalie thought the payment was reasonable. It was the time frame that wasn't. How long would be appropriate? Bella asked. If you don't want the cash, then I would give them at least 2 years, probably more, Rosalie said. Bella didn't want to wait that long, but Rosalie understood the human world better than she did. You have always told me how kind the sisters are to you, and because of their support over the years, I will leave it to you to collect the debt. There will be no time limit, they just have to be actively paying the debt. Thank you, Your Majesty. Tanya happily accepted those conditions. The fact that they didn't have a time limit would make it easier to get the gold, silver and jewels. Tanya, are you sure? Irina didn't know how they were going to get their hands on that much stuff. They could easily afford it, it was just getting it that was the problem. Completely sure. Tanya wasn't going to object when the alternative was owing a life debt to a dragon's. It that made Tanya shudder when thinking about what kind of situation Bella was in when she came to collect from her. Then we are in agreement. Rosalie will be in charge of collecting the debt. Bella was pleased with how this turned out because with this payment it would add significantly to her hoard without her having to put in any effort. Thank you, Bella. Tanya grabbed Irina by the arm and led her off the roof before Bella could change her mind. How did it go? Kate asked. We will discuss it when we get home. Now that Tanya dealt with Bella, she wanted her family to leave immediately. Cullens, we apologize for the trouble Irina brought to your home. That being said, if you need to call on us again, feel free to do so. Hopefully we won't have to. Rachel said. Goodbye. Tanya motioned for the rest of her family to get into their car. The sooner they were away from Bella the better in her opinion. Emmett waved when the car pulled out of the driveway. That was all kind of anticlimactic. What do you mean? Jasper asked. Well, we have spent weeks preparing for the Queens thinking we were going to die. Then when the Queens come we weren't even punished and everyone just leaves. I mean, shouldn't we, I don't know, have like a big celebration or something? Emmett said. It does seem like kind of a letdown that everyone just took off in a hurry. Alice would have at least thought the Denali would stayed longer. That's because they are all afraid of Bella, Rachel said. Should we be afraid of Bella? Jasper wasn't sure what to make of the woman. She seems fine if you don't annoy her. Emmett hadn't seen Bella even put in the effort to talk to anyone, let alone start fights. It was other people who started fights with her. What are we going to do now that Carlisle is dead? Alice asked. Rachel shrugged. I think the future of the Cullens all depends on what Rosalie decides. Hopefully she decides that we are worth keeping together. Emmett didn't want the coven to break up but knew that if Rosalie left that he and Rachel wouldn't stay with the rest of them. Rosalie was the glue that kept everyone together even if she didn't realize it. I think she will. Alice knew that even though she was grumpy that Rosalie loved all of them in her own way. I guess we will see. Rachel said, the other voicing their agreement. Looking towards the roof, Rachel watched as Rosalie fed Bella some fingers off of a random hand. It made Rachel smile seeing not only Bella eat a vampire but Rosalie so in love. Rosalie was her favorite member of the coven other than Emmett of course, and Rachel liked seeing her so happy. What the future held for all of them was a mystery, but one thing for sure, now that Bella was a part of their coven it was sure going to be interesting and Rachel couldn't wait to experience it. If she got to watch Bella eat a few vampires along the way it would be even better. How much did you pay the security guard to make everyone leave? Rosalie asked Bella. The pair were on top of the Eiffel Tower enjoying the view of the city all lit up at night. After the incident with the Queens, Rosalie and Bella had stayed in Forks long enough for Emmett and Rachel to pay Bella and for Bella's people to come and transfer ownership of all Carlisle's holdings to her. Esme had tried to gain support from the rest of the family to help her prevent Bella from taking it. Alice had originally sided with her until Rachel had explained everything that had happened since Bella had shown up. Rosalie figured it was the part about Bella having a room full of heads that made her back down, or the fact that she didn't want to be eaten. I gave him 2,000 arrows. Bella would have given him more if he wanted. It was worth it to not have to deal a bunch of humans. Rosalie laughed. Money well spent. Exactly. Bella agreed. Well, I for one am happy that we got to be up here alone, Rosalie said as she wrapped her arms around Bella's neck and kissed her. Pulling back she sighed. I got my kiss. What? Bella asked. Humans seem to think that it's the ultimate romantic gesture to kiss on top of the Eiffel Tower, Rosalie explained. I thought the ultimate romantic gesture was this, Bella said. Rosalie furrowed her eyebrows in confusion when Bella went down on one knee. What are you doing? Well, my love, now that your coven and friends know you are mated, I thought it would be fitting that I ask you to marry me. So Rosalie Hale, would you do the honor of being my wife? Bella pulled a ring box out of her pocket and opened it, revealing a ring that had a very large diamond surrounded by smaller diamonds with a silver band. Bella, you don't even want to get married. Rosalie knew that Bella didn't care for human customs. That is true, however I know that you do. I pay attention when you speak and know that you have always dreamed of a big wedding with all your family and friends there to celebrate. Now that they know about me, there is no reason to deny you the opportunity to have your dream wedding. So I ask once again, would you do me the honor of being my wife? Bella grunted when Rosalie lunged at her, causing them both to tumble to the ground. Yes, 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 yes. Rosalie kissed Bella hard on the mouth the entire time, trying to blink away the venom tears that filled her eyes. When she felt Bella unbuttoning her shirt, she pulled back. "We can't have sex up here." "Why not?" Bella didn't see a problem with making love outside. "There are many cameras that will catch us," Rosalie told her. Bella rolled her eyes. Humans and their technology. Why are they so obsessed with watching what other people are doing all the time? "I don't know, sweetheart, but it wouldn't be good for us to be caught on one. If we were humans, would have many questions about what they saw." Rosalie stood from the ground and began buttoning her shirt back up. "I suppose that's true," Bella said, standing and dusting off her clothes. "I can't believe you actually proposed." Rosalie would have never thought that Bella would put in the effort to go through with such a human tradition. "I knew it would make you happy, and your happiness is my main purpose in life." Bella wasn't that enthused with having a wedding, but it was something Rosalie wanted, and if Rosalie wanted it, then she would deal with it. "Still, I would have never thought you of all people would be okay with having a wedding." Rosalie knew that Bella would do anything for her, but to put herself in a situation that Rosalie knew she would hate every minute of touched Rosalie deeply. "It is important to you. That is reason enough for me," Bella told her. "We have so much to do." Rosalie was already making a list in her head of all the things that they needed. "When are you going to have to go back to sleep?" "I can last for a little over a year." Bella was tired, but she could push through it for Rosalie. "That's not a lot of time to plan a wedding," Rosalie mumbled. "I'm sure you could ask someone for help." Bella figured that one of Rosalie's coven members would be willing to help. Rosalie groaned. "Oh man, I don't want to think about how much of a nightmare Alice is going to be." "Why would Alice be a nightmare?" Bella asked. "Because she is going to want to plan the entire wedding herself. I am already imagining the many fights we are going to get into over this." Rosalie expected that she was going to be at odds with her sister for the entire time she was planning her wedding. "If she annoys you, I will just eat her arm," Bella offered. "You can't eat her arm. It will look horrible in pictures to have not only Alice missing an arm but Esme as well," Rosalie said. "Are you even going to invite Esme to the wedding?" Bella didn't think they should, but Esme was part of her coven, so Rosalie would make the final decision. Even though she hasn't acted the nicest towards us, it would be mean to leave her out. Rosalie would prefer if they didn't invite her, but didn't want to cause tension in her family. "She tried to kill you," Bella reminded her. In her defense, she was siding with her mate. "I would have done the same if I was in that situation." Rosalie didn't hold a grudge against Esme for what she did. It was natural to side with your mate even if they were in the wrong. Her mate shouldn't have put her in that situation. The woman has no fighting skills. If you weren't so merciful, you could have killed all three of them. Carlisle and Edward had no fighting abilities either. Bella had never understood people like Carlisle who picked fights they couldn't win. Those who challenged her with the false belief of their greatness were many, and the only positive of those challenges being Bella got to hurt people and add to her horde. "I don't think they realized how skilled I am." Rosalie had never shown her abilities to any of her coven. That is just one more example of his failings as a coven leader. He should have been having all of you training from the moment you joined the coven. Bella had started training Rosalie as soon as she found out she didn't have a skills. His mate should have been his first priority. "Well, we don't have to worry about him anymore." Rosalie was very happy about that. "His head does fit in nicely with the others," Bella said. "It's a good thing vampires' heads don't stay alive without the rest of their bodies. If they did, I wouldn't have let you keep them." Rosalie didn't even want to think of the headache she would get having to listen to Carlisle and Edward every time she went to Bella's keep. "I wouldn't have wanted them if they did. Bella wouldn't have kept any vampire heads if they remained alive. She liked her solitude, and the heads of her enemies having the ability to talk would ruin that." "Do you want to stay up here any longer?" Rosalie asked. "I'm ready to leave when you are." Bella didn't care when they left. She was only there for Rosalie. "Then let's go home. I want to celebrate our engagement," Rosalie said. "I am more than willing to celebrate with you." Bella was always up for any type of private celebration that Rosalie planned. "After we are done, then I want to call my family to let them know the news." Rosalie knew that they were going to be very excited for her. Reaching out for Bella's hand, Rosalie took one last look of the view of the city. She would have never guessed when Jessica called her for her help that it would have ended up like it had. She never had to deal with Carlisle or Edward again. Her mate had been revealed. That being something she never thought would happen, and it only ended up with 4 deaths, a low number in Rosalie's opinion. But the best and most surprising thing being Bella proposed. Something Rosalie never thought would ever happen, no matter how much she wished it would. Rosalie's last thought before walking out the exit was maybe now that she was getting a wedding she could convince Bella to have children. It was possible for them to have them together, and Rosalie thought a couple little baby dragons of their own would be the perfect addition to their family. She would bring it up on their honeymoon. Bella was more willing to give her what she wanted after sex ended.